the code
Yes,
also.
I will definitely make sure it is
Yes.
uploaded. Other things are there, right? Only for fifth, sixth, and seventh, is it?
Yeah, fifth, sixth, and seventh. These three
Okay.
from this last week. And before you begin the session, I just want a humble request. Like, if you can just kindly mention the topics which we will need to cover from elsewhere, and about a brief introduction as to what we are going to start doing this session and which week's content is this.
Yeah.
Just give us a where we stand. That is like.
Okay, sure. So
Thank you.
this week, in this, we'll be in this live session, we'll be covering week 5 contents, that is asynchronous JavaScript. These are some of the advanced concepts of JavaScript. So asynchronous part, promises, how do we create promises, how do we resolve promises, what are exactly promises, and apart from that, there is a concept called event loop in JavaScript. So that will also be covered. That is a very core concept on JavaScript. And then fetch API, as well as different ways of resolving promises. So that would be async await and your dot then dot catch. So these are the concepts we'll be covering today. Okay, so let's go right into it. So first of all, I have a question for you. You all guys know and understand that why was JavaScript created, right? It was to bring some interactivity to the web page and so on. Okay, so what happens if there is a long running task in a synchronous programming? Do you understand the concept of synchronous? Like it goes line by line.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if it's a synchronous program, what happens if there is a something, some long running task in it? Will you be able to do something else while that happens?
No,
No,
because
No. Yeah. Why?
because it will take like a space to firstly run this. After that, we can move to the second run.
actually in Java, the JS run on a single thread. So
Exactly. So JS runs on a single thread. So if there is one long running task, it will block everything else from happening. So suppose I have a long for loop running somewhere in my code. And if that is the case, then any clicks, button clicks, any events that take place, anything else would be blocked. That's why this concept of asynchronous is there in JavaScript, so that it can handle multiple tasks as well. So suppose I'm doing a long running task like fetching some kind of data from the internet. So getting some information from the internet. Okay, so that might take a few seconds, or maybe not even a few seconds, like zero point 0.5 a second. And in that time, if the thread gets blocked, what happens is you can't do anything else. Like clicking of a button won't work. Any other loading that happens won't work. That's why we have this asynchronous in JavaScript. Okay, so this asynchrony, does anyone know how JavaScript handles it? Any guesses?
What is it, sir? What thing?
This asynchronous means do something right now, like in the main thread do something, and then leave the rest of the task, offload it to somewhere else. That is basically asynchronous.
So
Yeah,
this
okay.
the code exact implementation don't know, but the understanding wise, I am very clear that how does it, I mean, what should be the behavior of it? Like this
Hmm.
should go on in the background, and when once it is done, it should acknowledge back that I am done with this task.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's something like that. So so to resolve this, we have something called a event loop in JavaScript. Okay, let me share my screen and give a brief on that. Okay, I hope my screen is visible. Okay, so I have a diagram for you. So this is JavaScript, the whole JavaScript thing, everything. So what happens in an event loop is whenever you're running a code. So you're running a code, it goes from top to bottom, right? So suppose we have something like this over here on the left. Scrolling is not working properly. Okay, no issues. So we have something on the left here. Everyone, does anyone here not know what set timeout, set interval is? Okay, I hope everyone knows. Set timeout and set interval. Okay, so suppose I remove this. What happens? So this is the two code that I have, two lines of code. So first of all, it runs from top to bottom. We have console.log start. So it is a function, right? It is a function that will print out start in the console log. So this program gets executed first, and then console.log end. This gets executed second. Okay, from top to bottom it is running. Every function that it is creating is going into a call stack. Call stack means wherever we are, whenever you are calling a function, it gets into a stack. So suppose we have a function inside a function, then that function would be on top of the call stack. Okay, so I think an example would be more necessary over here.
Recursion type, sir, no?
Yes. So yeah. So suppose like a recursion, we have a function ABC, and inside that there is another function BCD. Okay. If I console.log here ABC, I inside this I have console.log. Okay. So this is my code, and I want to execute it. So here I'm executing BCD, and here I'm executing ABC. So just think of how the code is being executed. First of all, line number one, function gets created, right? Function gets created, and then at line number 9, this ABC function is being called. Okay, everyone on the same page? Right now, from 1 to 7, the function has just been created. It has not been called yet. At line number 9 only, the function is being called. So we have something like a call stack. Call stack. So this is the manner in which JavaScript is calling a function, invoking a function. So first, ABC is being called, right? Let me write it like a stack itself. Okay, first ABC is being called. Fine. Then inside ABC, what does it do? It will have a print out ABC. Fine. Next up, this function has been created 3 to 5. And at line number 6, this function is being executed. So that means now BCD is being executed, and it will print out BCD. Fine. Right now, after execution, it is what happens. This BCD is executed, then it goes back to line number 6, right? Goes back after execution, it goes to line number 6 again, and then it exits out the ABC because BCD inside ABC, right? So unless BCD finishes, I won't exit the ABC out. So as you can see, it is becoming like a stack. First ABC gets executed, then inside that BCD gets executed. Now BCD, it gets the function at line number 6, it gets executed, then the function gets over, and then we remove this from the call stack. Now ABC keeps continuing until it reaches the exit at line number 8, and then now the call stack is empty. So the way in which functions are executed are like a stack. One function executes, and if there's another function, it will get executed over it, and so on. That's why we call it a call stack. Is this okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So inside JavaScript, we have a call stack which takes into account what function is executed at what order. Okay, in here, what happens if I just have the two lines of code over here? First, console.log start will execute, and inside there is the nothing, right? Nothing here. It will execute and then it will get over, finished. Then the second line console.log end will execute and then it gets over. Okay, that's the manner in which JavaScript executes code. So what happens if I add some asynchronous task in it? So set timeout, set interval. if I add something in between, what will happen? First, this line will execute, then set timeout will execute, then set timeout 2 will execute, then console.log end will execute. But inside that also we have another some function that will execute, right? Set timeout is what? After a certain time, execute whatever is inside it. So let's see how this exactly works, how this asynchronous code will exactly work. Okay. So whenever there is some kind of asynchronous code, or we can also call like a oh, let's call it asynchronous code, like set timeout. What happens is there is something called a web API. Okay, web API. This is particularly for browser we are talking about. Okay, this web API is inside the browser. So whenever a set timeout or set interval or some asynchronous code, a promise get executed, then they are moved to the web API so that it handles all the asynchronous code. Okay, and after the web API has, so suppose in set timeout, what happens? It has to count for like a some few seconds, right? If there is 100 milliseconds, then it will count that 100 milliseconds. After 100 milliseconds, it has to execute that code. So after 100 milliseconds from web API, this will move. This code will be moved to the task queue. This task queue is somewhere. It is a place there where all the asynchronous task is stored before the execution. All right. So before the execution, it will be moved here. And now when the call stack is empty, then this task queue, the code here would be moved to the call stack and it will get executed. Okay. This, I just gave you a brief upon this. I'll take an example and then it will get more clear. Okay. I have that same code. I have the same code in this file over here, eventloop.js. Okay. Let me execute it, and can you guess what would be the output over here?
Start and after that timeout one, timeout two.
So this has 1000 millisecond. This is 0 millisecond.
Sorry, timeout to timeout one.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other guesses? Okay. As we'll see,
Start
you
and
as you said,
timeout one,
it is
timeout.
correct.
Start end, timeout 2 and timeout 1.
Okay. But in here I said 0 millisecond. Why is this not executing right now?
Because as you said, na, this set timeout will go to the web API. After that, when it is finished, it will return back to the main step.
Yes, that's right. Okay. So what happens? Let me first execute it. Okay. As you can see, start and end got printed first, then timeout 2, then timeout 1. Even though in timeout 2, I had mentioned 0 seconds over here, 0 milliseconds, even then. Why? Because the main thread, so the main call stack consisted of this start and then set timeout. So this set timeout was an asynchronous code. That's why it has to be moved to the web API first. So it got moved there, and then this timer got started. All right. This set timeout 2, also same thing, got in the call stack, executed, then moved to the web API, and after 0 millisecond, it got moved to the task queue. But what did I say about the task queue? It will only push the code to the call stack when the call stack is empty. That's why the end got printed first, then the code from the call stack got pushed here. Okay, so let me show you with the diagram there. So in here, what happened? First, this line number 1, put it somewhere else. Okay, it's here. Okay, so going line by line, first this will be moved to the call stack. Okay, and then task, this start will be printed. Okay, this exited out of the call stack. We don't care about this now. Next, set timeout. This function got put in the call stack. Next up, it is an asynchronous task. It will be moved to the web API. Timer started, and timer at 0 seconds itself, this got moved to the task queue. Okay. But call stack, the main thread already has some work over here. So set timeout, second one, again move to the web API. The 1000 millisecond, this thing gets started. Next up, this console.log end moved over here, and end will be printed. This got pushed out. Now what do you see? Is there some code over here?
No,
No
sir.
code. No code. That means the call stack is now empty. I don't have anything in the main thread to execute. Now what happens? Whatever is in the task queue, this is the event loop. This robot here, this robot guy over here, this checks if the call stack is empty or not. Right now it is empty. So whatever code was there in the what is this? Task queue get pushed to the call stack and then gets executed. Okay, this will execute. I've not written console.log2 over here, but I meant to say console.log2. So this 2 will get printed over here. And now this also get pushed out. Now after 1 second, what happens? Again, it gets moved to the task queue. All right. And from the task queue, then since call stack is empty, it gets moved to the call stack, gets executed, and 1 is printed. Okay. Understood?
Okay, sir.
This is
Sir,
the whole concept of the event loop. Yes.
Sir,
Go ahead,
hello.
ask your questions.
Yeah, I have a question. Can you just recreate that one more time?
Which one?
This thing like you start with the start and end, and then the set timeout and the set time interval. Can you just yeah? So first, the set timeout one would be taken out and would go to the web API, or is it going to be
Yes.
set timeout?
First, this is the main thread from top to bottom.
I got about the console start and end. I
Okay.
got that.
Yes. So this will be moved to the call stack first. So this tells, okay, since this is an asynchronous task, it should be moved to the web API. So it gets moved over here. Now after that, it will start the counting. Okay. Next step.
in the background, na, sir.
Yes.
The
in
background.
Yes. The main thread is not interrupted at all. Okay. And then the set timeout 2 gets here. Immediately it should get called to the task queue. And then
Because it has a zero time lag.
Yes.
Zero. Okay.
Correct.
And by the time the call stack is empty.
Yes.
So is it
Sir, I have
like sorry, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So
now, hang on, just one sec, please. And so now the set timeout will be moved to the empty call stack,
Correct.
and after which it just gets done. And from now on the web API, set timeout one remains, which will be then moved to the task queue, and from there it's going to go to the call stack, empty
Correct.
call stack. Okay. Got it.
Okay. So essentially,
sir,
yeah, there was
what
one
I
more
was
question, right?
asking. So whatever task is asynchronous and need to execute in the background, that will get pushed to web API,
Yes.
and it will keep making progress there in the web API.
Not progress. So suppose, yeah, you can think of like that. Yeah. Whatever code or execution happens, not execution, whatever, if there is a time, it will be counted there. If there is some kind of data coming there.
Okay.
Yes.
And then it comes to the this callback queue.
Yes.
The task queue.
Correct.
Okay. And when it is kind of ready, it will again come to the call stack.
Yes.
How does it manage all this sequence? Let's say we are seeing it only for 2-3 events.
Yeah.
If there are like many events, then it will be many events in the web API.
Yes.
Something is happening in the call stack, and some are getting finished in the web API and coming to the task queue. How it will manage the whole sequencing of all the events.
Sequencing happens whatever. So if this thing is resolved, so set timeout, suppose we are talking about set timeouts, right? So if there are multiple set timeouts at the same time, so whichever is done first, it will be moved to the this callback queue or task queue. And this is, since this is a queue, the name itself says it's a queue. Queue means whatever was pushed first should be moved to the callback queue here first. Okay. So multiple things can happen in the web API, definitely, and even in real life applications, multiple things do happen in the web APIs, and whatever is the result, it will be pushed to the task queue. Is that is that all
Sir,
right?
Yeah. Okay.
sir,
Yeah.
I have a small doubt, sir. Sir, console.log is not given for how it is 2 and 1 got printed, sir.
Oh, I mean to say, I did not write the full code over there. I just wrote 2 and 1, but actually it should be console.log2 over here and console.log1 over
Okay,
here,
sir. Okay, sir.
just to shorten this thing.
This web API is a part of the client
Browser.
browser.
It's a part of the browser. Something similar is there in Node.js as well. I don't know what that is called, but that is part of Node.js that handles this asynchronous tasks.
Sir, as you told, ki like when the call stack is empty,
Hmm?
then after it will check the task which is done in task queue,
Yes.
and it will retrieve in the call stack and complete it. So, what if I have a big code and I want this output in between of my code,
You
but
want this output.
like if this set timeout output I want in the middle of the code, not bilkul like completely finish my call stack and after that it will print this output.
So if
Is that
something is on the main thread, then it will execute first. You can't change that. What you
okay?
can change is that code that you have in between. Uh, Not sure exactly what you can do there. If you
Okay,
have
okay.
a task,
Like I am fetching something
hmm,
data.
yes,
So this fetching data will go to the web API, and
yes,
when it completed fetching,
yes,
it will retrieve into the main stack. But it will retrieve into the main stack
task queue,
after, matlab like task queue. After that, it will come to the call
call
stack.
stack, yes.
But this fetch data I want in the uh, in between my code so that I can work upon it. But as you said, ki like call stack will be when empty, then after that we can run this task queue programs.
Okay, so when you're talking about this fetch and all, what happens is, so you render the whole page. You give all the functionality to the page, and while it is fetching, you can wait for that to execute the code that is dependent on it. So we have
Oh,
async
okay.
await
Okay,
as well
okay,
as
okay.
dot then dot catch in order to do that.
Okay,
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 so
okay.
some code that is dependent on the fetch,
Hmm.
that you can write using
Oh,
dot then.
so
We'll
that
see
we
that.
can hold that much of code when the
Yes,
data is will come.
yes.
And one more thing, sir. In this web API, there is a order should be preserved, na sir? Ki Like,
No, there is no order there. Yeah, order means
like if I have a multiple set timeout with
uh,
the parameter 0 second,
yes,
then there is a order ki like
yes,
this
yes,
timeout.
yes.
Okay,
So
okay,
the first one that is coming to the web API will be moved first. If
okay, okay.
suppose I have zero over here
Hmm,
and I have zero over here.
hmm,
Okay, I have both here, I have zero. So since this got executed first, this got moved to the web API first, this will be moved to the task queue first. And then this
hmm.
goes here, here, and then here. Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, okay. Got it.
So this is the base, and we'll see more complicated story upon this.
So web API is also a queue.
Not exactly. I'm not sure what exactly how the structure is made. But the thing is, whatever goes there, so if it's a 0 second there, it will be moved to the task queue first.
Sir,
Yeah.
the set timeout 1 and 1 is there.
Hmm.
Okay, sir. Second one set timeout 2 and 0 is there.
Yes.
Which one will be moved, sir?
Which one will be?
Moved first.
No, see, it depends on the order in which it is executing.
So the same order you are given, no, sir.
Yes.
Now
If
this
this
is
order
one.
is here,
No, sir. Here one.
yeah. Here one
Set
is
time
first, right?
out one one. You put
Yes.
one more one, sir.
One one.
Yes, yes. The second one is 0. Okay.
Yes.
Which one will move, sir?
First, this will be moved.
So
Okay.
by the time 1 second it takes, no, sir. It will be both the same, no, sir. It will
Okay.
come
Let's
down.
see with the live demonstration what happens.
I think, sir, this this set timeout, which taking 1 second, it will move first, but
Yeah,
the
complete
complete
later, and then it
complete
will.
later.
Yes. Okay. Let's see the live demonstration of that. If we have one over here, so it's kind of like the same code. We have timeout one, timeout two, start and end,
Sir,
same time.
and in between 2 3 lines are there. Console dot log empty
Hmm.
console dot log something like that. Then time will change, no, sir, afterwards.
It should not change. So
By
I
the
like
time,
three code over here.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So okay, yeah.
It will consider as a milliseconds. I think
Yes.
zero
So
and one.
timeout one is executing first, then timeout two. So by that time, what happens? The time changes, right?
I
Yeah,
think
but
unit should be same, like this one corresponding to millisecond.
Yeah. This
If
is
you need to,
millisecond only. So it's
if you,
very short amount of time. By the time it reaches here,
yes sir, yes sir.
then the this callback has already happened. This this particular line being moved to the call stack is already happened.
If you change it, if you change line
Sir,
to 2000
but
and
sir, sorry, sir,
Yeah.
but our intention of giving 0 has no meaning, no, sir. Now
Intention of giving zero.
that
Yeah, it has
giving
no
0
meaning. It is just
kind.
for demonstration purpose.
No, no, sir. That while we are working that program,
Hmm.
when we gave even a small time in the middle of end of the program and beginning there where we are given a time and we are given a less time at the end of the program. But while working out, it automatically time is reduced. It doesn't make any sense, no, sir. What I'm trying to say, sir, timeout 2 we are giving 0 because it has to come first. Am I right, sir? I may be wrong also.
See
Correctly,
what
sir.
is happening
but
here. Both in here, this line number goes to the web API, and
Yes,
the
sir.
timer already starts, right? The timer
Yes,
starts at
yes,
that
sir.
time. And
Yes,
by
sir.
that time, since these two lines execute, these two, three lines execute,
Agree,
this
sir.
has already been moved to the web, this task queue.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But
So in this case, we can't exactly see, exactly we can't tell that what will happen, because sometimes this might take very little time. So what
we
happens
can
if I
we
remove
can
this?
no, we can compare it with like if we give the 2000 to the line 2 and 1000 to the line 6,
Yeah.
then it will create a difference.
So 2000 here.
No,
no, sir.
2000
No,
above line.
sir. The main purpose of giving lower number in the timeout two is we want to make it to come at friend. Am I right or wrong, sir? Correct me.
So it was not the intention exactly. So intention was for you to understand what happens
Okay,
internally.
sir.
Okay, so in here, since the time difference is a lot, 1 second, of course, everything gets executed, right? Everything will get executed. Then only this 1 second is a quite a long time difference. So that's why in here we will see what will we see. What will be the answer? Anyone?
Same, all the lines after
Start,
that time 2 and time 1.
Till end it will be same, sir.
yeah, start, end, then timeout two,
Yes, sir. And then timeout
then
one.
timeout one. Okay.
Sir, please run, sir.
Yeah, I'm trying to run.
I think terminal will freeze it.
Okay, I have not saved it. Event loop judges. start and timeout to timeout 1. Okay. If there is significant amount of time difference, we can predict reliably. But if it is very less time difference, like 1 or 2 milliseconds, then it gets a little difficult to predict. Is that okay? Did you understand the event loop structure? How things are going?
Okay, sir. Fine, sir.
So could you go back to the diagram, sir?
Yes.
So here, whenever there is the interpreter encounters asynchronous function, it will
Hmm.
be pushed to the web API, right?
Yes.
And only after finishing all the synchronous function, and from the web API, it will go to the task queue, and then if the call stack is empty, it will be pushed to the stack and
See,
run.
this web API moving things to the task queue happens in the background, so that is independent of the main thread.
Okay, okay, and also
But
the
that doesn't
clock.
make any difference in
Okay.
practical sense. It doesn't make any difference what happens first.
Okay, sir. And in real life, this is we use async because it may have to download something from the server,
Yeah.
and then in the backend it'll fetch those resources from the server, right? When the
Yes.
main
So
code
the
is running.
network takes a little bit of time in order to get all the data. That's why
But
we
in the
have.
background, it will be fetching in the web API.
So
And
what exactly happens? It just gives a call there, and then
okay,
whenever
sir.
it gets a return back. So the server itself, where you're giving the data, can take some time in order to process all the data and then give it back to you.
Okay, sir. And when it gives back, then from the web API, it will move to the
To
task
the
queue.
task queue. Yes.
Okay, once the resources are fetched.
So
Sir, this web API, like the left hand side, the call stack execution, it will happen normally that global execution context and
yes,
the thread execution, all this what we know. Now
yes.
in web API, how this whether it will have a what component is there that execution is making progress?
This web API is handled by the browser. So this main JavaScript thread is not. It does not need to be aware of that.
So you mean to say the JavaScript executor is not coming into action in the web API?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So browser itself handles all this execution in the web API.
So and the control flow is done by the interpreter, right? Which one should go to the
Yeah.
web API and
Yes. That is decided by the JavaScript main thread. Okay.
so
This
in
web
short,
API comes in.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
The interpreter is the one which identifies which functions are asynchronous.
Yes.
Is set timeout is the only asynchronous function, or
No, there are multiple. We have set timeout, set interval. We have fetch API. There are multiple different, like a lot of functions that we interact with the database as well are asynchronous. So any of these asynchronous tasks are given to the web API.
so the interpreter JavaScript
Yes.
interpreter identifies those and finds it from the call stack and puts it into the web API, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So follow-up question is, sir, to be precise, JavaScript interpreter or JavaScript engine?
Not sure.
The
You'll have to Google that.
JavaScript engine.
Okay,
You'll
and
have
one
to
more
Google that.
and one more thing, just a clarification. Like this web API, this whole bundle will come under the JavaScript runtime,
Whole
as it.
bundle. Yes. JavaScript runtime.
Okay, got it.
Yes. Okay.
so
So
whole bundle
essentially,
meaning web
huh,
API task you those things.
yes, everything. The whole picture is there in the runtime. See, when we talked about runtime, what did we say? Runtime is JavaScript engine plus all the surrounding things like web APIs and what else
Or
were there?
or like this document API
Yeah.
and
So
other
all
things.
the available functions that we have, everything, that whole bundle comes under the runtime. So runtime is a much bigger thing, and JavaScript engine is a smaller thing inside that.
Yes, sir.
Any more
So this
questions?
Sir,
interpreter comes under engine, sir.
Yes.
sir,
Yeah.
one small doubt, sir. Sir, set timeout function is start.
Set timeout function. Sorry, I could not hear you.
Within the function, you are calling the function main function start.
No, within the set timeout, I'm just returning one here. But actually, what I meant to say it was console.log1, something like this. That's what I meant to say over here. That's why we are printing it. Okay. Shall we move forward?
So if
Yes, sir.
set timeout within that bracket, no sir. If you write that earlier function of console.log start, some function you are written,
Huh?
that function will be delayed, sir.
Yes.
Instead one, you write start there.
Start this.
That function where you are asked to print.
What do you mean console.log?
That function.
That's what we did over here. In here, we had inside set timeout, we had a console.log.
But time on we are written now. So instead of that, you write that first function start. Start is
Start is
delayed.
not a function.
I want. Oh, it is not.
Start is, we are just logging this. It's a string that we're logging.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Is this clear? Essentially, what we are doing, the synchronous code is running first. Whatever is the synchronous code. All right. Whatever is the synchronous code is running first. It runs till everything is empty. All the synchronous code is done. Then, according to the times or whatever we receive the data from the web API, it get pushed to the task queue, and the order in which it was received in a task queue, then it gets pushed to the call stack and executed. Okay, all the synchronous code, then asynchronous according to the web API, how it is pushing and what order it is pushing, depending on the time, or if you're using fetch API, if the data has been received or not, and so on.
So one question may I ask? Like is it okay to ask a question, sir?
Yeah.
In the task queue, it's going to be first in, first out, right?
Task queue, first in, first out. Correct.
In the call stack, it will be last in, first out.
Yes.
So we have to keep that thing in mind, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Call stack is like call
One
stack
at
is exactly the same as any other programming languages call stack.
Yes,
say
sir.
you
Java has the same.
call stack. You told that it is one at a time. No, it will not take.
No, it can get stacked. So if a function is calling another function, they get stacked on top until the first function is over. So until the latest one is over, it gets stacked.
Okay, okay,
So
got it.
if there
We'll
is
see a
one,
nested example. We'll see a nested example in which we'll understand better.
Yeah, the name itself is a stack. So yeah, okay.
so if there is only one standalone function, then the call stack will have only one line. Like if
Yes.
the function calls another function,
Another
then
function. Yes. So in this case, the call stack is only having one function at a time. In the case that we saw over here, it's only having one function at a time. If there is something nesting happening, then only the call stack becomes an actual stack. Okay, let's see another example. Okay, in here, what will happen? Line number
Sir,
11.
please teach me, sir, how you are blocking and putting that comment, because I am also trying in my code. It's not.
Okay, just highlight everything.
Yes,
There's a
sir.
shortcut control and the question mark key.
Sir, control
Question mark key.
question mark, sir.
Yes. So you
Then
can
it will.
hide.
Then if you put control question mark, you will get a comment.
Yes, comment or uncomment, you can do both.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so this is the next question over here. Let's see. What are the synchronous code over here? When we go from top to bottom, what happens?
It will print start, then
Start
end.
and why is it moving?
After that, it will print timeout 1 and timeout 2 and nested.
So you're saying timeout 1, timeout 2, start, end. Timeout 1, timeout 2, then nested.
No,
Does
no,
everyone
no,
agree?
no, 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 no. What is
I don't think.
happening
I
is
don't.
actually set timeout. Set timeout is 0 actually. So, and what is there in the console.log? It is a comment. I mean, it's a string
It's a
basically.
string. Yes, it's just
Yes.
printing out. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. So it will go in the same sequence. Basically, there is no waiting in this.
First of all, the synchronous code, everyone agrees, right? It should be printed first, start and end.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, start and end. Yeah. So what are you saying now? Then it should be
In the sequence, like it will
nested
be, yeah,
one.
nested timeout 1 and timeout 2.
Any other answers?
One possibility is that ki, like start and one nested two.
Yes, sir.
We are not talking about possibilities.
I'm just saying,
What
sir.
should be the answer? Okay, let's go and see what happens here.
It will go in the same sequence, no, sir. The timeout 2 will come at the end. Let's see.
Okay. First of all, let's think what happens.
So I think it will be start
Console.log
and one
tells.
nested two.
Okay. First of all, start gets printed. Okay. Next, what happens? What will happen to this set timeout?
This
Web
goes to
API.
the web API.
This goes to the web API. Does the code inside it execute right now? Does this execute right now or not?
No, 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 no.
Okay. Important thing.
1 second. Someone has a mic open.
Is it better now? Go ahead.
Got it, sir. Got it. Continue, sir.
So what happened here is set timeout. This particular set timeout goes to the web API. Is everyone clear with this? There is a set timeout over here. This is an asynchronous task. The
Yes, sir.
code of which will be executed later on. Code inside it, this thing, this purple brackets or pink brackets will be executed later on, not right now. Everyone with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay. So that means this set timeout has not been executed yet. It's not in the web API. This set timeout is not in the web API right now. Only this, the outer one, is there. Okay. So this gets moved to the web API at 0 second, like immediately, it gets moved to the call stack. Fine. Then next set timeout 2 gets moved to the web API.
With having 0 second.
Okay. Same 0 seconds. So now it gets immediately moved to the task queue. This end gets printed. Now the call stack is empty. Is it empty?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what happens? Which set timeout gets executed first? Which one got moved to it first?
Okay, so first timeout will complete timeout 2, I guess.
Which set timeout got into the task queue?
Best.
Timeout one.
This one, right?
9 12 to 15 moved to got moved to the task queue first. Right?
Yes. So since we have 0 seconds, both have 0 seconds over here. Whichever was executed first will be moved to the task queue first. Okay. So now this was in the task queue now. Then it get pushed to the call stack. So this set timeout, whatever is inside it, now gets executed.
Will line 13 now be moved to web API again?
Line?
Yes.
Yes. This line will be moved to the web APIs now.
After
Okay.
that, it will print set timeout.
After that, since it's now synchronous, this will be called console.log timeout 1. So that means now the whole thing is start, end, timeout 1. Okay. Up till now.
Yes,
then
sir.
Then which is next in the call stack?
There is nothing in the call stack.
Timeout 2.
Timeout 2 is empty. Yeah. So call stack is empty. What is next in the task queue?
Queue.
Timeout 2.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Timeout 2.
Timeout 2 gets executed. Now what is there in the call stack? Next
Nothing.
up. Oh, yeah. So
Nested.
this nested got moved to the call stack. I forgot to tell about that. Web API, then call stack. So this nested gets executed at the last.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, got it, sir.
So let's see. Node.
So
Yes,
line
sir.
20
First.
is the kind of
Sir, can you explain again, sir? Because this has to come, no, sir, first. This nested, why it is not coming at the last, sir?
Okay. So let's see if our thing matched. Start, end, timeout one. Okay. First timeout one, timeout two, then nested. Okay. So our prediction matched. Okay. I'll tell you why the set timeout. Nested got printed last. So what happens in the when it's a asynchronous task? The code will get executed after coming back to the call stack, right? Who was it? Sorry, I did not get your name. Who asked the question?
Vijay, sir.
Oh, Vijay. Yeah,
Vijay.
yeah, Vijay. So
I
what
am
happens?
Vijay Kumar, sir. Yes.
Yes. So what happens here? The code here, line number 13 and 14, this particular code will not be executed right now. When will this be executed? When from the task queue, it gets moved to the call stack. Should I explain this with a diagram?
Sir, it is better to explain in the diagram.
Okay, let me remove this. Okay, is this visible or should I move it? Okay, see what is happening. This gets executed. Now, what is printed? So now what is printed? Where should I write the print statements? There's no space over here.
Start and end will be printed, sir.
So start and end. Well, let's go sequence wise. So first console.log start comes over here in the call stack. Start gets printed. Okay, I'm writing out over here. Start gets printed. It gets moved away. Now this set timeout along with its functions. So this was nested, right?
Yes, sir.
This thing gets moved here. Okay.
So it will move to task queue, no, sir?
No, first goes to the call stack, then to web API, then task queue. We're going in order. First, it has to go to the call stack only. Then only it will say, okay, this is an asynchronous task. Let's push it to the web API.
Yes.
Okay. So first, this thing goes here. This is the outer function.
Yes, sir.
This whole thing gets moved to the web API. And what
Yes,
is the
sir.
timer for the outer function?
0, sir.
0 seconds. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So immediately gets moved over here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. As you can see, this set timeout is not executed now.
Yes, sir.
That's why this set timeout is not there in the web API. The timer is not started for this. Okay, so next up, this next line set timeout 2 gets moved to the call stack.
Yes, sir.
This gets moved to the web API
Yes, sir.
to the callback task.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes, sir.
now call stack is empty. Is it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Move the function over here. Okay, move the function over here. Now the function inside it gets executed. Okay, what is the function inside here? Let's see. This is the function inside it. Set timeout console.log and nested.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, now this function, since this gets executed now, this will be moved to the web API and console.log timeout. This is synchronous. This gets executed right now. So start end, I forgot to write, but it will be end here. Okay,
Yes,
start
sir.
end, timeout 1. Let's get thrown out. Now this is next in the task queue, and this again immediately gets moved here. Huh? This is fine. This next set timeout. Now since the call stack is empty, this moves over here.
Yes.
Whatever is the function inside it gets executed. So console.log timeout. thrown out. Now what is in the call stack? Nested. Okay, this gets printed. This what function gets printed. Okay,
Yes.
understood the logic behind it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So this is
Yes.
this simple. You just have to be careful which function is being called. Right now, as we saw in the nested example, the set timeout, after the outer set timeout was called, then only this next line got executed. That's why it moved to the web API later. That's why it moved to the call stack later. Sorry, task queue later. So you have to be very careful. Whole the concept is the same, this thing, but the only thing is, since multiple nestings and all can make it a little bit more complicated, you have to be extra careful with this. Okay, I hope this is clear. Event loop.
So, sir, this is the whole concept of event loop, no, sir?
Yeah, this is the whole concept, but you have to be careful with how the things are being executed. You have to check, especially with nesting examples.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah, definitely.
Sir, in line number 15, if we change the 0 to 1000 or more, would the
Line
result be any
number
different? 15,
15. No.
we change the 0 to 1000 or something like that.
Let's keep 1000 only. Enough time.
Would the result be any different?
Yes, sir.
So
It will.
timeout 2 will be executed first now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Timeout 2 will be executed first, then timeout 1, then nested. Okay, so same thing. No, it's not same thing. Timeout 1 was previous. Let's execute it and see. See, timeout 2 gets executed first. Why? Because it had 0 millisecond. Immediately gets moved to the task queue. This will take a little bit of time to get moved to the task queue.
All the sequence happen in the queue. Queue will decide which one send it to the call stack.
Yes. Is this example also clear? Anyone else has any doubt?
Sir, one more small doubt, sir. Sir,
Yes.
I hope you will not mind it. Set time out you write in the 14th line also, sir.
14th line also here. So should I write it above or below the console log?
No, sir,
It doesn't
with the
matter.
console, with the console.
Set timeout, and then what do you want to do here?
Same thing, same with the console. The log console log time out is there in that.
And then
Time
let's
out
have
one.
nested 2.
Time out one, sir.
No, let's have it nested 2. Let's name it nested 1, nested 2. And what should be the time?
That's why confusion, sir. Zero, sir. All zero.
Okay.
Here also zero, sir. 1000, no, sir. No 1000.
Okay.
How it is getting printed, sir?
See what happens. This one executed. Now this thing gets moved to the call stack. Since it's a 0, this set timeout will be first moved to the call stack. This part is clear?
Yes, sir.
So now what happens? This line gets executed, goes to the web API. This line gets executed, goes to the web API. This gets printed. Okay. So now what do we have?
Sir, instead of getting that line printed, sir, you make that set timeout console.log timeout 1.
Set timeout. So we are doing essentially the same thing now.
No, sir. Now,
Sir, he means change the line 14 console log nested to timeout 1 and remove the line 15.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Nested one, time 1. Which one will come, sir?
Timeout what?
1.
Which one will come, sir?
The string doesn't matter. Why does the string matter?
Because timeout is also timeout now, sir.
No, these are just strings. These are just printing out. Whatever I write over here, it does not matter. Okay, let's see. What happens? Start, end, printed first. Then, since this is the first set timeout, whatever was inside it will get executed first. So again, these two will be moved to the what? Where should it be moved to? Web APIs.
Web API.
And immediately it again moves to the task queue. What order should it move?
Nested one, timeout.
Nested one, timeout one. Okay. And since this was already in the task queue, the second one, this particular line, so timeout 2 gets printed first, then nested one, timeout one. Okay, let's see. Okay, start end, timeout 2, nested one, timeout one. Does it make things clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Sure.
you should use this code and like try to experiment with it. That will help a lot. Okay. So just be careful on what order they are going into the web API. If they have the same timing, if they have the exact same timing, then whichever got moved to the web API first, then that will be moved to the task queue first. Okay. Let's move on to promises. So these promises, this was the whole introduction was to introduce you to promises, because unless you know how the call stack, how this event loop is working, you won't appreciate promises. Okay, so the whole thing was to explain promises. So let's see what promises are.
So, sir, this type of things will be not used in the like
No,
very
this
big.
will be used, but the order of execution and everything, that you will decide because of this.
Okay. Okay.
How things are being executed, in what order things are being executed. This will be decided.
May I ask one question, please?
Yeah.
Why does line 16 get executed before the previous one?
Line number 16.
Both of them are arrow functions, right? Line
Yeah.
16 and line 12.
Yeah, it does not depend upon arrow or not. What depends upon is when is this line number 16 entering the web API? When is it entering? You tell me.
Honestly, I just joined. I missed that early part, so that's the reason why I was just trying to see.
Okay.
There is a shorter explanation.
Yeah, just you might have to watch it. I won't give the full explanation.
Okay. No problem.
See, this set timeout goes to the web API first. And whatever code is inside it will be executed later on when the whole main thread is empty.
It's nested. Sorry, got
Yes.
it. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That'll do. Thanks. Right.
Does it make it clear?
Yeah, it does. So it gets some parks there, and then 16
So only
goes
after
in,
this code gets executed,
executes.
then this
Yeah.
will be moved to the web API and then come back.
Yeah, clear. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't notice the nested part. Sorry.
Okay. So what do you think are promises? Just in layman terms, what's a promise? If someone promises you something, what happens?
Promise to do something.
And
It has to be fulfilled.
Yes. So promise is something like, okay, I promise you I'll bring chocolates tomorrow, something like that. Okay. So promises can be, what can be the phases of promises? So, it can be like they brought you chocolate, they didn't bring you chocolate, or right now they are in the process. Like I promised to bring it tomorrow, right? So right now I don't know if they will bring a chocolate or not. So 3 phases can be there. So similarly in JavaScript also we have 3 different phases of promise. So one is resolved. That means the promise was successfully. I got the whatever data I wanted or whatever thing I wanted was success. That is resolution. One is rejection. So whatever I got, whatever I was promised, I did not get it. And it is one more thing is pending. So right now, suppose it takes 1 or 2 seconds in order to fulfill that promise. I don't know whether it will be resolved or rejected. That's why it's on pending state. So 3 different states of promises are there. So that is exactly what a promise is. Do something in the future. Okay, 3 different states are there. What are those?
Pending, resolved, reject.
Pending, resolved, reject.
Reject.
Okay, 3 different states. So why would these promises be helpful? Any idea why would this be helpful? It's related to asynchronous code.
Should we trigger it based on some event so that it is helpful?
Yes, exactly. So what happens if you get a promise fulfilled, that means you get the exact thing that you wanted, you would execute a bunch of code with that in mind. Okay, suppose I'm getting some kind of data from internet, from an API. I'm getting some kind of data and I want to store it. So I can only store it when I have that data, right? So I can't have the same code for reject and resolve. So my execution would differ from when I have a success, when I have a failure. That's why these promises are there. And the pending state is right now I don't know what is going to happen. So that is the pending. And one more thing, promises are also asynchronous. All right. So these promises are asynchronous. That means it will be moved away from the main thread. So whenever you encounter the promise, that will be moved away from the main thread. And whenever the execution comes back, then that will be resolved or rejected. Okay. So first of all, let's see how to create a promise. Is the concept clear about promises? Any questions?
Not right now, sir.
Okay. So first of all, to create a promise, we simply write a new promise with a capital P. All right. And this creates a new promise, but it's not helpful as of now. It's not doing anything. It's just creating a promise. That's it. So let's store it in a variable. So let's have a const P equal to new promise. So let's see what happens when I console.log this. I was writing print. Don't know why. Node promises.js.
Python.
Okay, so right now it's saying it's an error. It's not a function. So let's do something else. Okay, so let me define the promise itself. So there's a new promise. That's how I create a new promise. So inside a promise, what do is take a callback function. I'm using lots of words over here. I should not. Okay, so it's inside it, you have another function that takes in resolve or reject. So this is resolve, reject.
These two are keywords.
No, these are not keywords. You can name it anything. A, B, C, D, anything. You can
Okay.
name it. All right. And this promise, according to this, whatever code you want to execute is written over here. And if you want to resolve the promise, you can use whatever you wrote over here. So I wrote resolve over here. I can use resolve and give it some value. It's success. Okay, so now what happens? Whatever is inside this will execute. This is actually a function. It's called a callback function. And whatever is the value of this promise, when it's a success, when I say resolve, it will get the value of whatever the string or whatever I pass in here in the resolve function. Okay. So this is the format in which you write a promise. You have a function with two parameters, resolve and reject, and you call one of the parameter, resolve or reject, according to your needs. So if you want to reject it, you use the second keyword over here, not the keyword, the second parameter over here. And if you want to resolve it, you use the first parameter. So in here, I resolved it. So it should be a success.
So this promise take a callback, and inside it this resolve also a function.
Resolve, yes, it's a function which is a parameter in this.
Yes.
Sir,
Yes.
why we write reject, sir? Then resolve will solve the problem also.
Yes. So what happens when you're creating a promise? What should happen? There should be two different paths, right? One should be for resolve, one should be reject. If something that you wanted did not happen, you have to reject it. Right now, I don't need it, but this is the format in which we write.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so it says console.log p is a promise. What the value of it is a success.
What is the condition of resolve here right now?
It's doing nothing. It's just executing. It's saying, okay, it's resolved. That's it.
So if you would have written reject, it would have shown the same thing.
It would have printed the same thing, but the status would be rejected.
Could you do that once?
Not right now, not with this code. I'll show it later when we use dot then dot catch.
Cool. Okay.
Okay, this is the format. If I want to reject it, I'll say reject and then give it another string. I don't want to say reject and then give it success. I want to give it another string. Rejected.
It means we can return only one thing, either a resolve, either a reject.
Yeah, you can have it in a if statement.
Okay.
Whatever first you gave. So suppose I have a resolve here and a reject over here. It will use the first one. Because it resolved first, right? Then what is the user? This code will not be executed. Okay, you can see success. Fine. This is the format. Let's.
Would you delete resolve and leave just reject?
Then it will be rejected. Yeah. So rejection causes an error.
Yes, sir. We need to catch.
So rejection causes an error, which is used when we use dot then dot catch or try catch. All right.
So this resolve and reject are predefined functions.
No, these are parameters that you can write anything. A, you can write B over here. The first one is resolve, the second one is reject. So if I write A over here, okay, then this will still work.
So whatever we name it, internally first position argument is resolved and second position argument is rejected.
Correct.
Okay.
So don't get confused with the positions. First one is always resolve. Even if I write reject over here.
Got it. Whatever name we give,
Yes.
irrespective of that, it is always resolved and
depends on the position.
Yes.
Fine. So let's move on. What happens? How do we use this promise in order to execute our code conditionally? So suppose, let's use this example itself.
Sir, suppose resolve is not there, what you will do, sir?
Resolve is not there.
Only reject is there, what you will do, sir?
Let's see this.
No, this is a we are creating an object, right? This is predefined, right?
Yes. It is predefined. This is the way that we create a promise.
You will write A instead of A, will write 0, sir?
0? You can't write 0 as a variable.
Resolve is not there, sir. Only for a reject is there.
No, yeah, it can't be. No.
See, it's a position parameter. No? So what happens if I remove A, B becomes the first position.
Oh.
So that means only resolve is there for me. Positions matter.
Okay, understood. Sorry, sir.
So what would I do if based on this resolve or reject, I want to execute some code? So first thing is dot then dot catch. Does anyone know how can I move it to the right side?
What do you want to do?
I want to move this terminal to the right side. Anyone?
You just kill it. I mean, you can open it again later.
Oh, there is one on the right.
Oh, you wanted right side. Okay.
Yes. So as you can see over here, yeah, dot then dot catch. So what I want to do is when this promise gets successful, any promise, this is the one that I created, but there are multiple promises that we can resolve. There are multiple inbuilt promises. We'll look at fetch API also later on. Okay, that is also a promise. Then whatever happens here, I want to conditionally execute a code based on the status of this promise. So suppose it's a success, I have some another code and so on. So what I do is this P is a promise, right? P dot then. That means after the P has been resolved or rejected, execute this code. What code do I execute? I write it in a callback. Doesn't need to be in a not a callback. Yeah, this is a callback. What I meant to say, doesn't need to be an arrow function. This is generally a more concise way of writing. That's why this is, you would see this everywhere in dot then. Okay. And I will say console dot log. I would say 1. What would happen here? Can anyone guess?
It will print success and one, I guess.
Okay, so are we printing success anywhere? We are not having console.log. This
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Sorry, sorry,
okay.
sorry. It will print only one.
Okay, so what is happening over here? When I say p dot then execute this line. So what it means, if p is a success, is resolved, then execute this particular function. And right now, is p resolved or rejected?
Resolved.
Resolved. Okay, so that means it should execute this particular function. Let's see if that actually happens or not. As you can see, 1 got printed.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand why P got resolved.
Because we said a success. A is what? The first parameter. First parameter is for what?
Resolved.
Resolved.
So whenever I call the first parameter with this,
Sir,
calling
why
means,
success did not get printed?
because we did not print the value of this whatever we got anywhere.
In that case, do we really need success there? We can keep it as empty brackets as well.
Yeah, you can have that. This is totally fine. It will do the same thing. Okay. It prints out 1.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Same
you.
thing. Okay, but generally we need some kind of value here. That's why we pass something. So
Sir, suppose we put B there, what will happen, sir? Error will come, sir.
yes. So if I, let's have like this. Let's have here B. Okay. What should happen over here? When we reject, we get an error.
This one will not get executed at this given scenario.
Yes, it will not get executed. Also, we'll get an error because rejection automatically throws an error. Okay, it will automatically given out an error. Let's see that also. You see a lot of error are there. But what I want you to see is there is no 1 getting printed anywhere. So that, what does that mean? So this dot then is only being executed when we have a success, not a, when it's being resolved, not rejected. Let me name it resolve.
So okay, so dot then only handles the resolved state of the promise.
As we have seen right now.
As we have seen right now. And one more thing, sir. Previously you told that this resolve is a function.
Yes,
Okay.
it's a function.
And from the from if I see the first function perspective, this resolve is a function and taking a resolved as a parameter.
Meter, yes.
So we can we can retrieve this parameter into the then function, then callback
Yes,
function.
we can retrieve. That is why we are passing this value to retrieve it later on. Right now, I did not do that. Okay, so should we move on? Next up, how do we capture this rejected part? We want to execute some code when it gets rejected.
Sir, so small doubt, sir. So
Yeah.
then where is the catch is not seen, sir?
So I'm going forward with that. Okay, so next up we see catch. Catch is where we catch an error. If there is any error before this, any error over in here, it will catch that error. Okay. Catch means it will catch that error and then I can execute a different bunch of code with this. So suppose console.log 2, and to make this more readable, I will write it like this. Okay, just to make it more readable. Same thing, just to make it readable. What is happening? Dot then will not execute since I'm rejecting it. Dot catch will be executed. Whatever inside dot catch. See, 2 got printed.
Sir, if we unpack these two lines, like if we write p dot then after that p dot catch,
Mhm.
then it will not work.
P dot then. That's what we did. No, it will work. I said this is just for
This
keeping
is a
it.
shorthand. This is
Yeah, just keeping it more readable because it's a long line, right?
no,
This
no,
will also work.
I mean like we need to separate these two lines, like p dot then after the next line p dot catch.
No, we
Two
don't
sep-
have to do. See. This will also work fine. This is the exact same thing that I showed before. I save it, I am executing it. Exact same thing. It was just for a viewing purpose that I wrote it in the next line. So that
Sir, what if
can
in separate line we wrote like p dot catch
Hmm.
the 12th line p dot catch.
Don't worry about
Yes,
that.
sir.
That is the same thing.
No,
This
no, no,
one
no,
line
no,
and writing in different lines are the same thing.
no, not like that. Write 11th line as a p dot then.
Okay. Okay. So
Just copy paste it, sir.
same thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you want to move it over here, not have another.
Yes, sir. I want to move it over like line 12, like this.
Yeah,
P
it
dot
will
then,
still
and
work.
after that
It will
on
still work.
line 13, P dot catch.
Yeah, it will still work.
Okay,
You
that
don't have
will
a
still.
semicolon now, so
Okay,
it
okay.
will still work. So this is the basis of promises, catching the promise and resolving a promise. So this line will be executed when it's a success. This line will be executed when it's a failure. You can have multiple different lines in this. Since it's a function, you can have like 15 different lines in this. You can have a lot of complicated stuff over here. Doesn't matter. The whole basis is this is for success, this is for rejection. Got that point?
So catch resolves errors or
Yes.
handles errors.
Catch handles error.
Sir,
Yes.
I may ask a silly question.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, instead of A, why you can write that one there, and B you can write two? Why we are writing all these things? Sir?
Where in line number 5 or line number 4?
Line number 5, A within bracket 1 and
We
B
can
within.
write. We can write.
Very
Definitely.
simple. Why we are bringing all then catch and also.
See, I am teaching in a way so that this you understand how promises are working. You will be
Sorry, sir.
using this one as well.
You can put it one. Why we are doing all then we put
Because I want to show the difference between whenever I'm giving this value, it doesn't
yes,
mean that
yes.
it will print the same value. It depends on me if I want to print this value or not.
No, he's asking why you are writing catch block, but if it is not there, it will terminate the execution, na? And we will not know what caused this problem sometime.
No. I think we're asking this, right? Why I'm not writing over here.
Yeah, B A equal to A within bracket 1 and B
Ah,
within bracket 2 will resolve this problem. Instead of writing B dot then within bracket,
mm,
then arrow.
see, we have to learn how promises work.
No, I understood, sir. I understood.
Yes.
Just it's you how it is useful in the other programs. That's what I was.
This is useful because promises are asynchronous. So this
Yes.
thing, whatever happens here, can be so dot then dot catch can be used in order to resolve some
Okay.
asynchronous tasks.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
That's why. So suppose next up we'll move forward to fetch API as well.
Sorry, sir.
So in fetch, what happens is you're sending some request, and then later on it will get the data back. So when it gets a data back successfully, we execute a bunch of different code. If it doesn't get a data, proper data back, then we execute another bunch of code. That's why we have to understand this.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Agreed.
Okay. So as you saw, I passed in a value over here. How do I get hold of this value? Take a guess. How can I get
Sir,
this value?
what you're asking?
I passed in a value over here, right? A string over here. I
Okay.
passed a string over here.
Yes, yes.
How can I get this string? Can you take a guess? When I'm executing this code, how can I get this particular string back?
Instead of 2, you write the string, sir.
Yeah, but whatever, that data can be anything, right? I
We
can't
can
hard code it.
take it
Just take
as an
this.
argument in a catch block.
Yes.
Dot catch.
So that is the right answer. If I take any argument over here, so suppose generally we take this as an error, or let's have anything. Let's have xyz. Okay. So this xyz variable will get the value whatever I passed over here. It can be anything. It can be an object. It can be a function. Right now I just passed a string, so that's xyz becomes a string. Okay, this particular rejected. And so now what I can do is I can console.log that also. Okay, console.log xyz. All right. So whatever value that I give here, I can retrieve it using this, taking a parameter over in the catch or even in the then. So if I take ABC over here,
Sir, if you don't give value, be within you are given empty, be within bracket. Which one it will give only 2, sir?
no, then this will give 2, this will give undefined. Right now what happens? Line number 4 will print out 2, line number 15 will print out the value that I gave in the promise rejection.
Okay, sir. Okay.
I'm executing it. Let's see. See, line number 2, the 2 got printed and then rejected got printed. How does this rejected come from? It comes from the value that I rejected with.
So does it just take the argument, or if there was like a function inside B and it
Yes.
returned something, so it would also give the return value?
Yes. So it couldn't take anything. So if I'm having a function over here, I'm not calling a function, I'm just giving a function.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do here?
Just return something like a equals x, some probably 2 plus 3, whatever.
Let's have a plus b. Okay, and take a b here. So what should I do? What should this do? What should this do?
Yeah, so it's gonna give a.
This is gonna give the whole the whole function.
Yes, sir. We can.
So it's not printing the function as of now, but it's the whole function.
We can pass
XYZ.
the parameter with using XYZ, no, sir?
Yeah. So now what I can do? So this gets complicated if you like try to do. If I call this XYZ with 1 and 2, now this will give me what?
3.
3. So you can get as complicated as you want, but this is the whole essence.
Yeah, so it's just gonna take whatever is present inside
Yes.
B, whether that's an argument, a string, or whatever.
Yes.
So this at the line number 13 also it can be called, right? That we can pass B directly and we can make a call to that
Line number 13 also we can call XYZ.
Correct. That's what I'm telling.
No, we can't call it.
From line number 13, can we not take the control to line number 6 by passing
no,
B?
This is not what's happening. First of all, understand what is happening. First, this promise is made. This is created. New promise. This is immediately. So immediately I'm saying B is rejected. So it is immediately rejected.
Yes.
Okay. Now the dot then dot catch is executing. Okay, dot then will not execute because it was rejected. Dot catch will execute. So now I'm not taking control anywhere. I'm getting this value from this promise. Control is here. Control is here itself. I'm not moving to the promise. Okay, whatever P got rejected with, I'm getting the value in XYZ.
So in the earlier example, when you wrote that AB, I mean basically resolve and reject.
Hmm.
There in the cache, if you had passed that resolve or reject, it was giving the actual value what is there in the resolve or reject.
Can you ask your question again? I did not follow.
Okay, let me. Whatever you did, no, I'm just sharing in the chat, so that
I think it is because we are printing a B in the console log. That's why it will print the string.
see this last time what you did. This is what you did, right? So in the cache, we are passing that whether it was accepted or sorry, resolved or rejected, and it was going.
Hmm.
Right? It was giving the actual whatever was there.
Yeah, the string. Yes, the
Yes,
string.
yes, string. But why not in this case?
See what happens here. What is this? This is a function, right? This is a function. Is that clear?
Hmm.
I am saying this XYZ is this function.
Okay.
When I say XYZ here, it will get the whole function over here as the value. Now XYZ becomes this particular function. All right.
Okay.
So this XYZ, if I just print XYZ, it will say it's a function. That's it. It will say it's a function. It doesn't give me the value as of now. So sometimes it could give a value also. Depends on the environment that you are executing. So if I do this, it says it's a function. And if I give it parameters, so function can be called, right? I can call this function. That's why now it's giving a value of 3. I'm giving it 1 and 2. Now this XYZ, since a function, it is being called. And then the whatever is the return value was a plus b. So now 1 plus 2 I get for console.log. That's what's happening here. If I give it a string, that whole string will be printed. But I can't call with the string. I can't do this parenthesis with the string. I can only do this with a function. Okay, let's not make this complicated. Let's keep it simple as it is. Let's remove this line.
Now basically got it. So this will make call to that function.
Yes. So whatever is the thing given over here, whether it be an object, whether it be a string, integer, doesn't matter. That will be got by this parameter in the catch. Whatever is the value here in the resolve will be got by the parameter over here. That is the whole thing. Does it make sense?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So now let's I'll show you one more thing. I said dot then is for the resolution, right? That's not entirely true. Dot then can also be used for the rejection. In that case, what do we have to do is we are giving one callback over here, right? This ABC is one callback. If I give it two callbacks, then dot then will be used for both resolution as well as rejection. All right. How do I do that? I give a comma over here after the function, and I give a second callback. Okay, let me remove this line to
So
make
in
it more
this
simple.
case, whatever was outcome of the promise, that particular section will get executed.
See, yes. So in this case, if I give just one callback, it will be for success. If I give two callbacks, the first one will be for success and second one for rejection. Same as the position parameters in the promise. All right. How do I do this? Yeah.
Sir,
There
then,
was a question.
sir, then catch
Yes.
is not required, sir.
Yes. Not required, and it will also not execute. Why? Can anyone tell me why this? If I
The
just write over here.
catch is required if only the rejection was the error occurred. But in this case, both success and error you are handling before itself.
Exactly. Okay, so let's have a console.log over here. Make it simple. A. Let's have RE.
BI, can you please be on mute if you're not asking anything?
Success. Okay, fail.
This is used as a shorthand type, no, sir?
The call this
This double
arrow functions.
this double callbacks.
Double callbacks. This
In,
two callbacks.
yes, sir.
We recommend, so it is recommended not to use it.
Yes, sir.
It is recommended not to use it, but in questions we do ask, so you have to be familiar with it.
गलत बात है.
So if in code, in actual code that you're using, don't use this format. Okay, so this one is for success, the first callback. The second callback is for failure. So right now I rejected it. What should happen? Let me remove this line.
2 will be printed.
2 will be printed. Will the dot catch, next dot catch be printed?
No, sir. We are handled all.
Okay, so dot catch is only handling a error if it gets, if there is any error coming in the chain, then it will handle it. Since that error is already being resolved here, there is no error coming to the dot catch. Okay, very important. There is no error coming to the dot catch now, since that error is already being handled by the second callback of dot then. So only this will execute and the dot catch will not execute. Let me run it. See, only 2 got printed. Only this line got printed. If I resolve it, is this clear? First of all, is this clear?
Yes.
Like like sir, fail doesn't allow to go to catch.
Yes. So since no, it's not about not allowing, it's about it's already, what does catch stand for? If there is an error, then I catch it. There is no error, so this gets passed through.
Okay. So even if we'll have error, it will go to catch.
Yes. So does anyone know how they can throw error?
When will, sir?
No. How do you know how to manually throw an error?
New throw. New error.
Okay, so if I throw an error over here, so for those who don't know this, you can manually throw an error. So this is what I'm doing. I'm creating a new error and I'm throwing it. Throw new error and then give it. Okay, I'm manually throwing an error. So what happens now?
2 and 3.
Okay, since now the dot catch. So there is an error before the dot catch. In the chain before the dot catch is receiving an error. So to resolve it, it will execute. So see, 2 and 3 got printed out. Is everyone understanding?
So both got printed.
Yes. How? First one got printed because of this.
Rejected.
Yeah. Console.log 2 happened. And after line number 15, this created another error. That error, since it's in a chain, that error got caught by this dot catch.
Okay.
If I didn't have this dot catch, then what would happen? What would happen here?
There would be an error.
Error on the console over here. Okay. Let's see. See, I got some kind of error. So this dot catch is for error handling, and that error is created by either by rejection or you can also have some kind of manual error or some other kind of error that happens.
Sir, I have a question. One
Yes.
question. On in line 17, please attach p dot catch. Just only p dot catch.
P dot catch. Even I don't know what will happen here.
I think it will throw an error on the console. Think.
I'm not sure. So
Okay. Yes, it will throw an. No, 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 no. It will throw a.
do you want me to remove this line?
Ah, okay.
Two got printed and p dot catch. Okay, so these two are behaving like two separate like two separate
Two.
values, like p dot then p dot catch. So similarly, if you have a colon over here, it should work the same. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, so it's essentially working like two different values.
So one small doubt, sir.
Yes.
One small doubt.
Yeah, go
Sir,
ahead.
suppose you type throw new error above console.log 2, what will happen, sir?
Yes. So can you guess?
3 will be printed.
Only 3 will get printed. Why? Because if there is an error, any lines below it, do they get executed or not?
No, sir.
No. So this already VS Code itself grade this out. You can see unable to
It will.
reach code. So only 3 gets printed. Okay. So this is dot then dot catch, and you can chain multiple things together. Chain multiple thens. Dot then dot then dot then. As many thens that you want. So even over here, I can say another dot then. This is called promise chaining. Multiple promises. Right now, I'm not creating any new promise, but you can have a dot then again. Okay, just to confuse you, we can have this. Let me remove this one. So what should happen?
For
Fail,
this
rejected.
dot, then we need to create a promise, na sir, first.
No, you don't need to create a promise. So it just goes on a chain.
1 to 4.
Yeah. So one also gets printed. No, one does not get printed since we
One.
have rejected it.
Oh, yeah.
2, 3. No, 3 doesn't get printed. 2 and 4.
I
Does it
only
make
think.
sense, or
I
do
only
I have to
think.
explain it?
I think only 2 will be printed.
Okay. You doubt me. Okay, yeah. So you can see
So
2
without
and
creating a promise, how this outer dot then will work?
no, you can have it without promises as well. It only makes sense to have it with a promise, but you can still use it without a promise.
Now, initially on line 12,
Hmm.
we are using dot then for handling the resolution of the p variable.
Yes.
So for the same scenario, if we want to handle line 18, we need to have a separate promise, na sir?
No, that is the thing. You don't need to have a promise over here. All the dot thens will be executed if there is no error.
Okay, so in short, we can handle error only one time, but we can handle resolution as many times.
No, you can handle errors also. So suppose if there is some error in this
No, no,
dot.
no, no. If in case dot then not generating any error,
Hmm.
I have only one error which comes from a p variable.
Yes.
Then this catch block only run once. After that, we can run as many then.
No, you can run it before also. It doesn't matter where it is. See, what matters is how things are chained together. After this, I have a dot then again. Suppose after this, I have a. I'm confused. How do I write this? Okay. After this, I have a dot then again. Then this will be executed. Every dot then will be executed in a sequence if there is no error. So I'm naming it 5. It's looking a little dirty.
So it will print in a sequence order, no, sir? 2, 5, 4. Am I right, sir?
Yes, you are right.
Sir, but then has to be typed only for success, no, sir, not for rejection. No, sir.
So there is no rejection here.
But in the first, you are
After the
given.
first, after the first success, after the first rejection, this gets resolved. So there is no error. Since there is no error, it is considered as a success. So it gets printed. There is no error here. Then the catch does not get printed. Then the dot then gets printed. So that's how the chaining happens. You can also have a promise over here. We'll see it in a different example.
Sir, if there is no syntax error before then we'll get printed.
Yeah, even syntax error. Not sure about syntax error, but I think any error. Just check that once.
Just the
Okay.
previous command should be successful. It should not give any error. Then
Yeah.
this
Correct.
then.
Yes. Okay, and after the dot then dot catch, we also have a dot finally. So this particular code is for the thing that you want to execute no matter what. So this will be executed no matter if there is an error or it's a success. It will be printed. And you
What
can
if
keep it anywhere.
what if I am not handling an error? Then it also print a final
Yes,
block.
then also. So suppose in the other case we were not handling, right? What happens if, let's see. Oh, if it's actually giving an error, not handling it.
Yes, sir. I am asking that question.
Even I don't know the answer to that. Let's see that.
I think the compiler will terminate the code. Then I
Yeah,
don't think finally will
I
have.
also think that. I throw a header here. Oh, finally still got printed. Yes, so
Okay,
finally is still getting printed, even though there is an error and it was not handled.
this is new.
So it actually means no matter what, if there's an error or not, this in this chain, if there is a finally, it will get printed. Okay, so these are the three things: dot then, dot catch, dot finally, and one more thing: dot then can take two callbacks. If only one is given, it is for success. If two are given, first is for success, second one is for failure.
So in P dot then like in the two callback functions you are taking success and fail as the two arguments. Like can it be anything?
Yes, you can be anything. A, B, C, D, anything.
And can it also be empty?
It can be empty as well. If I don't need the values. So these, what are these? These are the values that I got from the rejection or resolution. If I don't need the string, I can just have it empty.
Okay.
All right.
Do you need the strings?
No, I don't. In here, I don't. But usually we do.
So it almost looks like these are all similar to Java coding, kind of Java, whatever APIs are there.
Mhm.
So does it also have system.exit for some reason?
No idea. I have not done Java extensively. I just did the basics of Java. That's it. I just know the syntax. Is this part clear? Let's move on to one of the questions.
Clear, sir.
Can I even see the full question?
Question will be so much tricky on this promise.
Yeah, promises can be a little tricky.
So far, it looks like it is full of JavaScript we are learning.
Yeah,
Yes.
these weeks are see, Vue itself is pretty easy. Only thing tricky is JavaScript.
Only thing is tricky is the functional handling, functional type thing. How functions are passing and how function
Yeah,
is
I'm
in.
reducing the font size a little bit. Tell me if it's okay or not. I could not fit everything there. Is this visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's see what is happening over here. This prom variable is creating a new, is storing this new promise. And what is happening? Resolve reject. Within it is a function, and this function is calling the resolve or reject depending on the value. Okay. When I'm passing the value of 10, what is this doing?
It will run a function with the
It will
value
run the
10.
function with the value of 10.
X is equal to 10, sir.
X is 10, then this will be false.
Goes to reject.
Okay, goes to reject. Then let's see what happens. Prom dot then, will this execute?
No, sir.
No. Will this execute?
Yes, sir.
So this will print out. Let's write this down. What should it print? Okay, first tell me what should it print? Catch. Then what will happen?
New URL through.
So will this print?
No.
No.
Will this print?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so finally, will this print?
No.
No. Will this print? We threw an error over here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It will run last
Last.
catch.
This is the
So,
sequence that we get.
can it have more than one occurrence of finally? Can there
Yes,
be no
multiple occurrences you can have.
possible? Huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's run it and actually see if we are correct or not. Catch, finally, and last catch. Okay, so I think you guys are understanding. Well done.
So one more question, sir. Could you please copy paste this finally code to the bottom of the code?
Here?
No, मतलब both मतलब 2 times. This finally from above and last. Yes. Could you please run?
Let's have it finally too.
It will get executed.
So this will get executed. Catch will execute. This will execute.
Yeah, I need to compare with Java. Let's see.
Okay, you can see catch, finally, last catch, and then finally
Okay.
two. Okay.
Sir, why those line number 41 and 43 is not getting printed?
41 and 43. Okay. So first of all, you understand this catch got printed, right? This catch got executed. You understood this, right?
Yes.
So after this console.log, you throw a error. You are throwing an error. So what is happening? Errors are handled by dot then or dot catch.
Dot catch.
Dot catch. One more thing, I mistakenly spoke that. If there are two callbacks in dot then it will be handled. Okay, if
Yes,
there are
sir.
two ones, then it will be handled. But in here we are only having one callback. That means it will directly go to the catch. But finally is there, so finally will first get printed and then dot catch.
So
What you
line
told,
43.
43. Why is this not getting printed? Because this is again in the error part. See, this is throwing an error, and where is the line to catch it? Where is the line to catch it next?
Okay, 44.
44. So this gets caught in the 44. But finally you have to print anyway, so it will execute.
So it will directly go to wherever there is a catch after there is error.
Yes. Just look for finally in between.
Yeah, sir. If we swap the 44 and 43 line, then it will print the dot then line.
44
I guess.
and 43.
Swap.
Yes, then it will print it. Okay. So one more thing I have not shared this with you. What
Sir,
happens?
Return 60 means what, sir?
Yes, that was what I was coming to next. So what happens in this chaining is whatever is the return value of the previous dot then, that will be gotten by the next one. So in this case, if I remove the error, what will happen? Let's see. This catch will execute. Catch. Okay. Let me type this out again. If no error thrown, then what will happen?
Second then and undefined.
Uh, Second then. Okay, first let's go with this. It's still rejected only. The promise itself is rejected. So the catch will first go. Then what will happen? This line number 40 got executed first. Then
41
what will happen?
executed.
Line number
41.
41. Okay. Line number 41, what is it printing?
Second then and undefined.
Oh, that was second then. Oh, I thought you meant this one. Okay, anyways. And what is y over here?
Nothing.
Y we are getting from this parameter. But
Yes.
is this returning anything? Is the previous dot then or dot catch returning anything?
Nothing.
It is not returning anything.
Hmm.
Okay, so then the y will be undefined. And now
Oh.
this particular then is returning something, returning 30. So for the next dot then, the parameter that I take would be this 30. So what is the next then that is executing?
Finally.
Yeah, so finally we execute, finally. And then line number 43, right?
Yeah.
The 43 is taking a parameter z. So
Which
that
is
z is what? The return value of the previous then. Okay, so here third then and then 30 gets printed. Okay, that's how return works. Return, if you return something, that will be the value will be given as the parameter for the next dot then.
So, sir, if the returning happens in the dot then function, then the next dot then will handle that return value.
Yes.
If the return value happen in the catch block, then the next catch block will handle that return.
No.
Then
If you
will
throw,
See, so what happens? Let's first see this if it's correct or not. Even okay, so catch second then undefined, correct. Finally, third then 30. 30. This is the return value for the previous that, and finally 2. Okay. Yes. So this you understood. You were asking about the catch one, right? You were asking about the catch. So
yes, sir.
it will not be for the next catch. It will be for the next then only. Why? Because catch only executes where? If there is
Then
some
the
error.
error.
So whatever I get in this here, the parameter over here, it is the value that the error that was thrown. I get the value of that. Okay, so let's
No,
go
no,
step
no,
by
no.
step. Let's go step by step. First of all, in this dot catch, if I return something, if I return a value over here, this will be for the next then. This y will become 10. Previously it was undefined. Now it will become 10 because I returned something from the catch. Let's see that in action. See, second then became, now this y became 10.
Can I manipulate a little bit of code this?
Yes.
Uh, in line 40, sir, after return 10, write throw new error.
Line number
40.
40. We already had that.
No. Don't remove this. Return 10 after that.
Where? Inside the then.
Inside this catch block, return 10 after that, write throw new error.
So after
No,
returning, you will,
after returning it will
it will
got
not
it,
throw
got it.
an error.
Got it.
Okay.
I
Uh,
understood all of this. Just a small question. In 39, we have dot then, and the arrow function is what, returning 10? What is this 10?
This is returning 10. If I don't give any brackets, it directly returns it.
It returns 10 to the function ABC.
It returns 10 not to the function. This returns it for the next dot then.
dot then 41 line.
No, sir. It returns when it is resolved.
No, this particular value we are talking about. What
Value
is
only, sir.
this?
Value comes when it's resolved only, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Reject
Could
means
you
it
make this 40? Could you make this 40?
See, we are not taking that value anywhere. Even if I put this 40, how do I get this value? I get this in the next dot then. When I take a parameter like this, then I get the value. But I'm not taking that value anywhere because there is a catch in between. I was throwing an error.
So this is a 40 being returned.
Yes, it is returned for the next dot then.
I got it. If it has some
Huh.
variable
So,
in the bracket, right? If
yes,
it doesn't
yes.
have, then
If it has a parameter, yes.
yeah. And the other thing is, why is this throwing an error? Why is 40 being executed?
Why is 40 not being executed? This one.
No, 39 is returning a 40, right?
No, no, no. See, we are executing. We in this promise. This promise got resolved or rejected. First of all,
Yeah, that is my question. I didn't understand.
this promise. What is this promise doing? We called this promise, and we said execute ABC with the value of 10. Execute this function with the value of 10. All right. So if x is 10, then what happens?
You're calling ABC 10 within the promise.
Yes. So immediately I create a promise. I call this function, and then immediately it resolves or rejects it, depending on the value of 10, depending on the value that I gave here.
Within the promise, you have a function which will call, which will itself tell whether the promise is being resolved or rejected.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So
So
it
right now,
actually rejects.
it rejects, right? That's why this particular line did not get executed. This line got executed.
Okay, I got it now. Thank you.
Okay.
sir,
Sir, is
sir.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Surya, you can ask.
sir, I have a question. Like, is there any way, just like if we are returning in the dot then function, then the next dot then will handle this return value. Is there any way that if we're returning a value in the catch block, it will only handle by the next dot catch?
See that the value that the catch gets depends on the error. So if I throw an error, so previously, let me.
No, I got this sense, but I am asking just a way. Like, is there any way that
No, any value that, yeah, you can. There is a way. So if I throw a new error, so new error, if I throw this, the value that I give here, so this will be here.
okay, okay, this will be handled. Okay, and one more thing, sir. If we, what if we did like this, line 40, we are returning 10.
Yes.
After that, if we return final, can final take a argument?
No.
No.
Good question. So if I type in I over here and I try to print I, where it was returning something, you want it here, is it? Is this fine?
Just above one line. Line 41. I want this line to be on.
Here.
Yes, here.
See, finally, even though the previous line returned something, finally never takes any value. It takes it. It is printing undefined.
Okay, okay. Got it, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so the parameter is only the return value is only for the dot then. dot catch only catches an error and whatever is the value. So if I say here, this will be caught by the error, or if I throw an error, then that value will be caught by the catch.
So
Yes.
whenever a
Sir?
catch which is having a return value
Hmm.
will automatically initiate the next catch.
No. Catch is for resolving. Once you resolved it, only if a new error is thrown, then only the next catch will execute. If
So
I
in this
catch
case,
the error,
line for yeah.
then the sequence, then it's a success sequence. So finally executes, then executes, finally executes, then execute. Catch does not execute because right now I am not having any error.
Wait a minute. That's what exactly happened, right? When Divya was asking, it is 10 is not greater than 2, so it is a reject mode. So that's
Yes,
the
it
reason
is
catch
rejected.
on line 39 is ignored and 40 is where it gets caught.
Yes.
So once 40 is gotten caught and it returns 10, what
Yes.
happens then? Does it go again to a then or to a catch?
It goes to then. Yeah. So finally, then, finally, then, finally.
So if there is no return, it still goes to a then?
Yes. Return is only for the value that I'm getting over here. Y here, Z over here.
We can think it as a like a return value means resolved thing. Whenever something is returning, it will interpret it as a resolved thing.
Okay,
So
fair
my
enough. But if I have multiple catches, then what am I actually catching? The previous error?
Yeah. So if this catch is for the things that happened before it, so here,
Okay,
any error over here, this will be caught by
okay.
this. For this catch, any error that happens over here will be caught by that, including this, including the after the catch, including this. So any error that happens over here will be
So if
caught
there is
by
a
the second catch.
okay, if there's an error in the console log, something happens there in the arrow
Yes.
function.
Any yeah,
Automat.
in this area before the previous catch,
Mm-hmm.
anywhere between.
Okay. And any value that is passed on is used in that function, or rather, let's say, for example, then bracket z. If you say z is used inside console log third, then z.
Yeah. So you can get the value for the previous return. Previous
Okay, and
return
you can give
value
an expression also. Z star z also you can give.
Z star Z. Oh, okay. I was thinking of pointers. Yes, you can do that.
I can do that. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. But
Is this clear?
pointers, do you really use pointers in
No, there's no
JavaScript?
pointers here. I got to a whole different tangent over there. No pointers in
Okay.
JavaScript.
Apart from
Sir?
C, I did not see anybody using pointers, so
Yes.
I'm a little surprised. Yeah.
Sir, in the last car row, if finally is not there, what will happen, sir?
Nothing will happen. It will just end if there is no finally over here. It will
It
just
will
end
not
at this
stop
point.
with the before finally, sir.
It will not stop.
It will continue after finally also, then catch and it will stop.
Then yeah. At this point, since it's a at this point there is no error, so this will be the last line that executes and then just die. Done. Okay, I'll execute that also. See, third then got executed. This line got executed at last, and then nothing happens. Okay,
We
so
got
next question.
900, sir. How we got 900, sir?
I did
Say 30
this
into 30.
30 into 30. Z into Z. Okay, next question. If I have a console.log over here, I have another question console.log over here, and what will happen?
These dot tens are asynchronous.
What did I say about promises?
You said it is a asynchronous code. Or like it will run in the future.
Okay. As you see, start, end, catch, and then everything that happened in between. Understood? This is the same thing, same scenario as that. Promises are also asynchronous. Understood? Same concept as set timeout. If you want to read more about this, so there's a lot more depth to it. So you can read about the macro queue versus micro queue. So there are actually two queues. We discussed the task queue, right? So there are actually two queues. We won't be discussing much on that. Not much at all. We won't be discussing. We just consider one queue. But actually, there are two different queues. Promises go into the micro queue, and the set timeout and other functions at interval, those go into the macro queue. But that is irrelevant. No questions of that sort will be asked. Okay.
Okay, sir.
This is fine, right? Same thing, same concept of asynchronous.
So one small doubt, sir. Sir,
Hmm.
suppose if you say return 10, then x, instead of y you put x here, sir. Then x will become 10, no, sir.
Can you give the line number? Line number 42, I
Line
guess.
number 44, x.
44.
X.
You want to put x over here.
Yes.
And then what happens?
Here also x. Y is
Here also x.
yes. It will
Here
not
also x,
change.
right?
Yes, yes.
So same thing. Doesn't matter. X.
But this x will not affect the original function, sir.
What is the original x?
ABC equal to 10 x.
This is totally different. This is only local. This happened way before. After this happened, then only the execution happened. Dot then dot catch.
Okay.
After the resolution rejection, only this happened. Anyways, it does not affect the. These variables are not accessible at all.
No, sir. If x is 40, then it will be more than 20, no, sir. Then it will resolve, no, sir.
You want to change over here, is it?
Not there, sir. Here, return
No,
40.
you should see. First of all, go on to the first two lectures. We talked about scope there.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so just look more into that because these two scopes are totally different. This x is only independent to this function,
Fine, fine.
and this x is independent to this function. After
Fine.
that, also this x is not accessible. If I write x over here, this is not the same x as this one.
Okay.
This is a totally different x. Okay, so again, I execute no dot promises, same thing, no difference.
Sir, instead of return 10, you put return ABCX.
Here.
Yes, sir. ABC 20, ABC 40.
First, tell me, is ABC accessible globally? Where is ABC accessible?
Sorry, sir. I don't know, sir. Sorry, I'm trying.
Okay, so it is inside another function, inside a new promise. That's why this ABC is not accessible here. So let me try, instead of doing over here, let me try to print out ABC. ABC. So if ABC was accessible over here in the global space, it should print it is a function, right? Let's see what happens. See, it's ABC is not defined. Why is this not defined? Because, can anyone answer this? Why is
Because
this
it's
ABC not
defined inside a promise block.
Yes, so this is another function. This is a function, and now you're creating. So this is defining inside a function. That's why this ABC is not accessible in global. If it's not accessible here, why will it be accessible anywhere inside?
Sir, sorry, sir. Right.
Sir, previously you
Yes.
told like when we suppose there is a plain set of lines, and inside this line there is a set timeout, set interval, asynchronous code there and synchronous code there. So the line by line will be executed, and the synchronous
Yes.
code will get executed, and the asynchronous code gets into the
Web
like
API.
web API. So sir, inside this, if we connect this scenario inside through this promise, when we are creating this promise, this created promise will go to the web API, or when we are calling this dot then your dot catch, depending upon the resolution or result state, this thing will go to the web API. I mean,
This
which
when this line 41 gets executed, then this promise gets to the web API,
okay,
and then according to the resolve reject dot then dot catch
okay,
catch gets executed.
Thank you.
Okay, so I hope you understood about the dot then dot catch chaining. Let's move forward to the easier way of doing this. You can resolve or reject promises easy in a much more easier manner. That is your async await. I feel like this might the dot then dot catch might look a little complicated to you, right?
Sir, from
Okay.
naked eye, we need to see very carefully which is calling which.
Yes. Okay, so this fetch I did not teach. Okay, so let's first learn about fetch, then we'll go to the async await. Actually, it's better to actually teach async await first. I'm thinking what to do. So it's pretty simple what we do. Let's go upon this async await first. We'll use the same example. Okay, promise I created. This promise I created. And then what I want to do is try another way. So what was my goal about promises? I want to execute a certain bunch of code. If it is resolved, I want to run another bunch of code that when it is rejected. Right. That was the ultimate goal that I wanted. So we can do that using async await. Okay, so what is that? That is similar to this. The only thing is it's more readable. You can read it much more easily. So first of all, to use await, you have to create a async function. Async means asynchronous function. So async, whatever is the function name. So function. Okay, let's have it. Fine. This is a async function. That means it contains code. It can contain a await keyword. This await keyword we can only use inside a asynchronous function. So to resolve, so the code that I want to execute when I resolve is simply I can say this something await for this promise to be executed. Prom await prom. What will this do? It will wait for this promise to execute, and whenever this promise is executed, this promise is resolved, it will, what I mean to say is it will await for this promise to be resolved. Okay, generally what we do is use some kind of const a equal to or some var name, suppose a variable abc equal to await promise. So whatever is the value of this promise will be gotten by this abc when it's resolved. Okay, so this is abc when it is resolved. What happens when it's rejected? To do that we have to write a try catch block. Okay, so if it's rejected we can have a try catch block. Try this, and if it's not a success then catch the error. So you can have it like this, catch, and then give it some value error. Okay, what am I doing here? I'm awaiting for this promise. That means if it is resolved, this abc will get the value of whatever I got in the resolve. Otherwise it will go into the catch block and it will throw an error, and I can console.log this. Okay, this is the general way of using async await.
So if the
Create.
promise is rejected, then it will go to catch.
Yes. So there is no direct way of handling the error. So that's why we wrap it inside a try, and whatever the error we are getting is a error catch. Okay. So in this case, what will happen? What is this prom? Is it
Function
resolved
dot
or rejected?
rejected.
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 Rejected. So if I execute this function a func, okay, if I execute this, then it will go into the error block. So there is no dot chaining and all in this, so we don't have to learn that much. We just have to know what await is. It will wait for this prompt to execute, and then console.log abc. So this particular code is dependent on abc, right? So at this point, it will stop the execution until it gets a promise, and then when it gets a promise, it will console.log.
Yeah, so if we have a function again in the promise that returns something and
Hmm.
takes in arguments, then how do we pass those arguments within the try block?
No, it's just a block. If I have, suppose, a b here.
One thing,
And
Yes.
Before that, sir, could you please show like how to retrieve this x less than 20
That's what I
inside?
did over here. This abc get the value of this x less than 20.
Oh, okay,
Okay,
okay.
so in here, how are we getting the value? By putting a value over
Yes,
here.
sir. Yes,
So
sir.
similarly, this is getting that value.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Thank
yeah, so
Got
my question was that if you have some function, say within the brackets of resolve, where you've written x greater than 20, there was a function like we had done before that takes in arguments and then returns a value. Then how do we pass the arguments that we want to pass within that resolves function in const abc? Because it's a constant, right?
Okay, I lost you in that one. You want a function over here.
Yes.
Okay, let's come to that. First, let's see what this function is doing. Okay, first let's see this, and then we'll come to that.
Sure.
What is this promises, right? No promises.js. Okay, so this, what happened here? X is less than 20. Yeah, so this is the error name, right? The name of the error, x was less than 20. That's why when we cached it with the error, this err became this value, and we logged it out. All right. And if I resolve it, so if it's 20, if I say 20, then this should console.log abc
21, sir.
greater than 20. See, x greater than 20. Now it resolved. Much more readable, is it?
Yes, sir. Very much.
We wait for this promise to resolve, and whatever is the code dependent on this, we will write below it, so that only when this value abc gets populated, then only this code will execute, and catches for the error part.
So, sir, this in web API part, this whole async function will go to
The
web
whole
API.
async function goes, yes. The one thing to note is the async function always returns a promise.
Sir, if
Yes.
you don't write await, what is the problem, sir?
If I don't write await, then this thing will become prom. So this ABC will be a promise, and then it will say promise rejected result. It will be a promise object.
We
It
need
will
to
not be
handle
the
using.
value of that. So right now I'm immediately resolving or rejecting it now. So that we still get the value because I'm immediately resolving it. But in real case, we don't immediately resolve or reject it. It has some processing, then it either resolves or reject. In that case, this will say promise pending. I can show that in the fetch API.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Okay, sir.
promise pending.
Sir, if the promise is rejected, then this await this prom will throw an error.
Yes,
So
this
that is why
particular
it will
line
go to
throws
the
an
catch.
error. It will be cached by the dot in the catch block.
Error means it will throw x less than 20, whatever we have.
Yeah, that is the error over here. Correct. Okay, so since you have understood this async await, let's move on to fetch API.
Sir, there is a question.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah. There is one question. Forgot about that. Yes. What was the question? There is you have to
Yeah.
create a function over here.
Yes. So you just create an arrow function and have like two arguments, say A and B, and
Okay.
then you return A plus B. Yep. And now
Okay.
I want this value in the try block as some constant or something, whatever. However you want to represent it.
Okay. So what? So if I await for this, then this ABC will be what? This particular function.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do? Now this ABC has become this function. Now what do you want to do?
Now I want to pass arguments. So I want to
Yeah.
pass the
So
values of A
simple.
and B.
ABC is that function, right? So ABC you can have 2, 3, and then it will console.log. ABC itself becomes this function
Oh,
when you
okay.
return it.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing to note here is JavaScript, even functions or objects, you can pass them like objects, like normal objects. So here we are getting that value from this await. So this function itself is behaving like a object. I clear this and then see, got printed 5.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. So next up, fetch API.
If the function is this dot something, so like
You want to go into this? So what happens? This dot. What do you want to do?
no sir, suppose in the resolve part we have created some arrow function, right? Suppose
This.
that uses or any normal function also. So suppose that uses this.
Hmm.
Then when we call it, then the it will refer to the same this in the try block.
Okay. Can you like elaborate more on that? If here I create a object, is it?
Or it's
Hello?
okay, sir. Yeah.
No, no, just a minute. Can you like want to create an object over here, is it? See.
So suppose in the promise
Hmm.
we are resolving some function, right?
Yes.
So
Returning
instead of
this
arrow
function.
function, if it was normal function and
So or
in arrow
arrow or
function
normal
also,
function doesn't make any difference if there is no dot, there is no this or no arguments. It doesn't make any difference. If there is no this inside it, it would not make any difference. It's the same thing.
yes sir. So I meant here inside this function if we write this,
This
represent this
dot,
dot a plus b something.
yeah, this dot a plus this dot b.
Let's have it in brackets. So what are this here? That's the question, right? So when does this get populated in a function? Do you remember? A- Anyways, this particular question is pretty simple because there is no object that is holding this. If there is no object holding this, then this will be simple. Acha, first
Global
tell
also.
me. Yeah,
Global
first tell
name.
me. Yeah, yes, that will be global only. But first tell me, how is this created? How is the context created? When is the context created?
When it is inside some object, the function.
sir.
Yes.
One more question, sir. Sir, could you please little bit repeat, sir? Well, I lost my connection.
No, the question was from my side was when this is changed or when this becomes populated. Like when do you get the value of this
When a
inside a function?
function written inside object.
When the function is called, when you
When a
call a
function.
function, then the this context gets created. Okay. So in here we are calling the function over here. All right, ABC we're calling over here. So do you see any object calling this function,
No, sir.
or is it like hanging in there? It doesn't have anything, right?
If a
There is.
function doesn't call by, you tell me, sir. You have told us like if a function doesn't call by any object, it will call by a window object.
Yes, correct. So in here, this will be again window. So this will be this dot a undefined plus this dot b undefined. I don't know what undefined plus undefined.
It will be undefined.
Nan, I think.
So if you have var a equal to and var b, then it will take those values.
Huh. So it's nan. Okay, undefined plus undefined. Nan. If I have a where a equal to 1, I don't know if this works or not. Where can you have a comma here? Not sure, but should work. No, let's not complicate things. Let's have where a equal to here, where b equal to. So what we said previously was where has a side effect that also creates a property on the global object. Those who did not attend the first two sessions would get confused, but this is the thing. Where has a side effect that when used in a global space, this creates a global property. That means window property after line number 25 also has a dot a dot b. Okay, since window has a dot a dot b, this will be a plus b, window dot a, window dot b. So 1 plus 2, 3. Okay, now if I run this, something happened. Oh, I'm using Node.js. Okay, so
Yes,
I'm
sir.
actually
It
using
has a.
Node.js. That's why this is saying if I use a browser, then this will give me where. So this the global thing, the dot then dot catch. Sorry, the what was saying the window object being also having a side effect of dot a and dot b only happens in the browser, not here. So if I run it in the browser, let's see what happens.
Here there is nothing called global object.
It's called global this, but that side effect is not there. So that where a creating a property is not there. Okay, if I say window dot a, if I console dot window dot a, then this will not create anything. This will say undefined. But if I say the same thing, so it's actually a window is not there itself. So this dot a, if I say this dot a, window is not there in Node.js, right? It's called the global this. So if I say this dot a, then it will say undefined. Why? Because it does not create a property. And if I run the same code in the browser, let's see what happens. Another window. If I run it in the same browser, so this console also you can use to run. I just copy pasted this code. See what happens. See, this dot a got printed 1. All right. This undefined is just from the console.log returning nothing. So that is one thing, that is the difference between the Node.js environment and the browser environment. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go back here. Let's not worry about this. I think if you watch week 1, week 2 lectures, not lectures, the live sessions, then this should be clear. Is that okay, everyone? Should we move on? Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, so let's move on to fetch API. So fetch API is an API, as it mentions, it's an API that is used to fetch some data, to get some data from the internet or even from your own server, not server, even from your own file structure and so on. Okay, so fetch API, let's see what exactly that thing is. So how do we write a fetch call? We say fetch and then give it a URL. I can give it any URL. So HTTPS Suppose I want to get Google URL. I get this. I google.co.in I'm giving. It might not return anything meaningful, but it will still return something. I give the URL first. So fetch is a function. The first parameter, it takes the URL. Okay. And second, I can give it an object. This is called an options object. We read more upon this, but right now for us what is important is we can see the method that we want to call. Everyone has done mad one.
Sir, this option object is same as this view. Or what is it
So
called?
that is a general name of having some options, giving some options to it. So in view, you are constructing all that application using this options object, right? You're
Yes, sir.
giving what are the functions, what are data, and so on. It is a general name. Options object is a general name. That means it has a bunch of predefined keywords in it. As you can see, it has a bunch of predefined keywords. Method is one of the keywords that it is predefined. Not the keywords, sorry. It will be more accurately called the property name.
Properties.
Yes,
Property names.
properties
Okay.
that are predefined in it. And if I give this particular property certain value, then the behavior of this function will change. All
Okay,
right,
sir.
that is the meaning. So method, I can have get, post, put, and so on. Okay, right now I want to have a get method. By default, also it's a get method only, and it has a bunch of more options in it. Okay, so this itself is a promise. How do we resolve or reject a promise?
Dot then.
Yes. Okay, so that's why we use the dot then, dot catch, and so on. Okay, I say dot then. What I want to do? See, whatever value I'm getting, I want to do something with it. Let's try to first print it out. I'm getting a value A. Let's try to print it out. Let's see what that is first. Okay, so whatever value, what does this mean? This fetch will return some value. If it's a success, that returning thing is success, this value that I returned from the success will be stored in A, and then I will log it out. Is everyone clear with
Yes, sir.
this? Okay,
Yes, sir.
I'm not writing the catch as of now. Let's see how this thing will go. So now node, what is the name? Fetch API.js. See, it took a bunch of time and it spit out a lot of different things. Since I'm going to a page, let's spit out a lot of different things. So you can see the name is response. This object, whenever you see a capital R, capital first letter, you can say it's a class. Okay. So this particular this is called a response class. That response object, this particular object is called a response object, and that has a bunch of things in it. It tells you what is the status of it. Is there is a text? What is the headers that you got? What is the headers that what is the server name, and so on and so on, and a lot of different things. Okay, with this particular thing, whatever I return is called a response object. So we generally name it R or res or something like that. So name it like this, response, better. Okay, and that response object can be printed out, or I want to, what do I want? Let's see, I want to check what is the status code. So one of two different properties that we generally use is dot status. Response code, what was it? I even forgot exactly.
Status, I guess.
Dot status.
So it should be response dot status, right?
Yeah. Okay, response dot status. So this is a property, you can see 200. So I will now print that. Okay, if I run it again, then it says 200. So that is the status code that I received from the server. I received a bunch of information from the server. That bunch of information is stored in the response object. How do I know it's a response object? Because fetch returns this. Fetch returns a response object. It is in the fetch API's definition that it returns a response object, and that has a bunch of properties or even functions in it. Okay, let's see how we can use that functions in it. Is this clear? How do we use this? You give a URL, you can optionally give a method, and then use the dot then and dot catch in order to get the response or rejection.
Sir, this exact thing we can handle through a sync function,
Yes.
sir.
Okay,
Okay.
so someone tell me how would I do this is exact same thing with async.
We
Async
can
await.
we can call the sync function and store the return
Yeah. So
value.
first of all, what did I say? Can I use await over here? Can I
No, no,
use
no,
await fetch?
no.
Okay, so we can't use that. Let's see. That's what I had previously known, that I can't use await fetch. Let's see if it actually works. Cons- VS Code is not giving any error. Okay, yeah, so yes, so it says await is only valid inside a async function. Okay, so that means we can't use this await keyword globally. We have to use either globally or even inside a normal function. We have to write a async function. So to write a async function, I type async function and then the name. What should I be the name? Get some data. Get data. I don't need the parameters. Now I can say response equal to await. Okay, and to print the status, what could I do? Console.log
Response dot status.
response dot status. Now it should work. What happened? Oh, I did not call it. Okay, now you can see we called it. Now I got a 200 code. Is this okay? So there are two different ways we learned how to resolve the promises, and two different ways we resolved it. Dot then dot catch.
So using async and await is just another way of using avoiding then, right? Without
Yes, yes,
then and catch.
yes. The only thing is when you use dot then dot catch, you don't have to use the try and catch, because if I add the try catch, it becomes a little longer to get the exact same functionality. Right. If I have to do the catch one as well, I have to have a try over here, right? Everything inside try block and so on. So that is
Sir,
one additional thing you have to do.
from your perspective, sir, which one we need to prefer? Either a promise or a
For
sync?
your projects, you use this. For learning purpose, for theory, lots of questions on this.
Okay.
Dot then dot catch.
Sir, how we got 200? Sir, where you got 200? Sir? Where is
200
200?
means it's a successful code. I went to google.com. It gave me what? It gave me it should have given me the whole page. I don't want to print the whole page. I just want to check what is the status that is there. Status 200 means everything went okay. I got the
Okay.
valid response.
But you are asking to print get data, no, sir?
No, I'm just printing response dot status. So what is the response? The status of that. Okay.
So when
I'll
we use
print.
so
Yeah. Ask the question.
so when we use await, we are using an async function because await will take some time to get resolved, right? So
Yes,
that
that's why we have to have it inside of async function.
if you don't use async function, then
It will
it
not. You
throw
can't
error.
use the await keyword itself. You can't use it. This will throw an error.
Okay.
If I remove this, even VS Code is giving an error. But anyways, if I run here, it says yes. You can see await is only valid inside a async function. You have
Okay.
to use async in order to use await. ASYNC. So this
Sir,
is the
how do
base.
you know it is ASIC function, sir?
I wrote async. That's why I know.
Oh,
So, sir, inside a sync, we can only define await functions, not a simple function.
No, if it's async, then you can write anything. If I don't use this, I can just. It doesn't have to. So it's mandatory for me to.
Like for
Sorry,
example,
excuse me.
if I have a 4 5 functions inside a sync,
Hmm.
so we need to create all those 4 5 functions to a await. Like,
No, if inside that I don't have await keyword, then I don't need to.
what is it, sir?
So what I'm saying here, say if I'm wrapping this inside a function outer
No, I mean like inside a sync function, we have two or three functions. Then,
inside.
oh, inside a sync function, we need to attach every function before await keyword.
No, only where you are using this await. See, if there is another function over here, right? See,
Just plain function, just adding
suppose
two variables.
forgot how to write a function.
Function F.
Console.log. I'm printing just two.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So I don't need to have async there because I'm not using await inside it. I don't need to have. I can just call this function. So how do I call it? UBBC. Done. This will work.
Okay, so if a
If
function
I
hold,
have to use await over here, then only I have to make this async. Okay, understood. Wherever in which I have to use await, then only I have to use async function. Since inside this
oh,
function I'm using a await keyword, that's why I have to make this function asynchronous.
okay, okay, got it, sir.
This will work. See, 2 got printed, 200 got printed. Okay, I hope this makes it clear. Let's see some actual use of this fetch. Okay. So what are we doing here? Is there is a website called HTTP status IM in which you can give the code over here. So if I say 500, it will return a response of 500. If I say 404, it will return a response of 404. Okay, so that is one. What is happening here? Dot then. What will happen? This fetch will go, right? It will use dot then response. What is the response? Whatever the page
500.
I'm getting, full content. What will be the response dot okay? Okay, I did not tell you that. Response dot okay means a status code of 200. If you get a status code of 200, that means everything went okay. And this response dot okay is like a proxy for it. That means if if the response status code is 200, then response dot okay will be true. Otherwise, it will be false. Understood?
Sir, how this if knows like this 200 is a true value and other than this?
That is programmed in the
Okay,
response object
okay,
itself.
okay, okay.
Okay, so one more thing, response also has a .json function, which itself is a promise. It's a asynchronous function. So either we have to resolve that with dot then. That's why you see a dot, two dots, dot thens over here. Okay,
All these are functionalities of fetch, right?
this particular functionality is you can call it a functionality of fetch, but this particular thing is a functionality for response. So it's a method of the response object.
Hmm.
Dot json converts the format into a JSON format. Okay. In this case, what should happen? Can you take any guesses? I said this particular website returns whatever code I give it over here. What is the code? 500. What should be the response status?
Sir, this
Response is nil, sir. Nil. No. It is
Uh,
no. Rejected.
Not rejected. I'm still
no.
getting some kind of data back. Am I not?
Would be second then.
Mm,
I have a question, sir.
yes.
This response variable holds
Yes.
the fetch data.
Correct.
So, sir, this response holds this response dot okay holds 200 or anything else number. How do I know?
response.ok holds true or false.
Okay,
True
based.
if the response code was 200, false otherwise.
So else is not there, sir. Else is not there. So you have not written else.
Yeah, so this will execute only if the response is okay. Otherwise, it will not execute.
So sir, the question is, how do I know like whether this fetch is giving 200 or any other status code?
That you will have to print and check. So
Yes, sir.
console.log response.status.
Sir, if a status code is 200, then both then will run. If a status code is other than 200, then catch will run.
Catch will run. Are you sure? Are we getting error or not?
Yes, sir.
That's the
No,
question.
no, no,
Are
no,
we getting error?
no, no, no.
Is a status 500 considered an error or not?
No.
No.
It is not. Okay. So it is not considered an error. That's why it will still go in the dot then first. All right. Fetch will only give an error if there is a network error. If it's a 404, something not found, something like that, it still gets some kind of response back. So it does not go into the catch block if it gets some kind of response back. If it's a network error, then only the it is rejected. This promise is rejected. It makes sense, right? Because if I get a 404, I have to store that information. If it's a catch, like it directly throws an error. Otherwise, I can get information about what is the status, what error what error code I'm getting, what exactly the server is saying to me, and so on.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
In this case, status is 500, so will dot then will execute. Why? Because it's a still I'm getting something. I'm getting something. I'm getting this web page, although it's
So
status 500.
what will be the answer, sir?
Answer would be it goes into the response. Response.ok is false here. Why?
It is
Status
not
is
200.
Because
5.
500.
Yes. So next up, dot then, second then. This will run. There is no errors. So only the second then will run. Okay, I'll execute it.
Sir, what are the scenarios in which this response.json will fail?
The response.json will fail if there is no JSON in it. It can't parse a JSON file.
So, for example, if I get a response 200,
Yes.
then this if block is run, or
Yes.
after that, if a JSON format will give through an error, then this catch will run. Sir.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Let's first run this and test fetch api.js. Okay, so this returned a 500 code. I can also check what was the code. Console.log response.status. Okay, this will tell me what will be the response that I got. So if I even click it, I can go into that web page and check. Should have opened. Or it opened, but I did not see. You see, it showed a 500 internal error. This is a particular website that does it for testing purposes. If I give the URL of 5505, it will also give me a response of 505. Okay, it's that website that you can use to test different status codes.
So if it is error, then why it is going inside that?
It's not an error. It's a response. It's saying, okay, something went wrong in nothing went wrong in fetching the data. Something went wrong with this page. I can't give you the required information that you want from this page, but its fetch still went to this page. It got some kind of response back, and that response it is storing in the response object.
So, okay, sir, change it to 200, sir. Let us see what is coming.
Okay, so what do you expect first of all?
It returns the JSON if
Okay, so
it's available.
this returns JSON, but if I go into a 200, does it have a valid JSON format in it? If I go into this, that depends on the website to be honest, but I'm telling you, I'm just showing you. Does it have a valid JSON?
No.
Okay. So should that create a issue?
Yeah, then they would go to catch.
All right. So since there is no JSON format in it, this will create a error. This will go to the catch block. Okay, so 200 I got the status code since I was printing it, and this particular line created an error, and that was then caught by this dot catch. Understood how things are going?
How things are going. Sir, how line number 5 is creating error JSON?
Because there is no
Because
proper
there is
JSON
no.
format. This web page only has text in it. It does not have a JSON object kind of syntax, not syntax, the format. So it
Okay.
can't parse it. That's why. So next up, we'll
Uh,
look at data that actually sends a JSON response back.
if this URL sends something API thing, then
Yes. If it actually sends some kind of JSON back, then we can use this in order to convert it into an object.
okay.
Okay,
Uh,
is this clear first of all?
could you please mute Vidit one?
Yes, someone is there.
Sorry.
Okay, is this clear? Any doubts about this?
No
Yes, sir.
doubt, sir. No doubt.
Okay. So the last thing, let's go into this. Okay, so this is one kind of open app. How do you call it? This is an API in which you get the countries. Okay, if I go into this API, I
Public
open
API,
this
sir.
up. Okay, not page not found. There was one thing that okay, I can't actually see it. Let me check. I had something. Two pacing coverage promises. Okay, let me just check if there is something else. Some API that returns a JSON. Okay, so API endpoints. Okay, so here we have, let's get the list of all the countries. This is from the internet. I am going to this URL. So this URL, what it does, it gets me a list of a lot of different countries. If I click on this, I can see where this is going. So it opens up in the browser and you can see a lot of different data. Okay, so you can see it's, let me pretty print it. For you, it might look like a whole, the format is very small, right? So you can see it's something like this. Does it look like a valid JSON format?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so it is a valid JSON format. So if I use response.json on this, this will give me a valid response. All right. So I'm going to this and then I'm fetching this. I'm awaiting this. And let's do something with it. What should I do? I want to print some countries. I want to change. I actually want to.
You can loop through it.
I just want to convert it into a JSON object.
Okay. So
Okay.
we can use response.json, I think.
So I can have. What should I do?
Response.json.
I'm using this inside. If I
Async.
want to use async await, what should I do?
You need to
I can
define
directly.
async function.
So even did I explain that the JSON format, the response.json, also is a promise. So also I have to await for that as well. Await response.json. So that also returns a promise. That's why we have to
Sir,
await for it.
please
And
repeat why this line. Await.
because response.json itself returns a promise. You can see I hover over it, it says promise.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this itself returns a promise. That's why we have to. So similar to the fetch is a promise.
So, but
Which
we are
returns a
not
promise.
return async function.
Yes, so that is one more thing you have to add. Async function, and then name I would add country data, and we won't take anything and write everything in there. Move everything here. Okay, let me call this as well country data. So now it will go here. It will convert this data into await response.json, and then I should print this, right? Otherwise, what is the use? How do I print this data? Anyone knows? If I just write data, it will spit out a whole bunch of things. I want to just print something out.
स्ट्रिंगीफाई या जेसनफाई ऐसी कुछ
No, this JSON is already there. It's like a dictionary, but I want to print. Suppose I only want to print the common names of all the countries. So this is
we
one
can
exercise.
access.
How do I access this?
First we need to access our index
What
value
is this? Yes, what is this?
list.
Array
This
list.
is a list or array. Inside that, you
Object.
have 0, 1, and 2. These are objects, right? This is an object. Okay. So array, object, name, and then common name.
Yes, sir.
Can I do that?
Yes, sir.
So let's me have that data at
Zero index dot name
dot name or at name. We can do that. Dot name
dot common.
dot what was it? Common.
Common.
So it will just print out for one. Let's first print out for one of the countries, and then we'll see how to print everything. It fetches it. Now you can see South Georgia gets printed. Okay. And if I want to print out all the countries using, how do I print? For
We
each,
need to loop it.
can you tell me the code for how to do it using for each?
We can use for of loop.
I
We
want to
can.
use for each.
अच्छा for each loop. For that's for each loop. Okay. For each. After that, it will take an element in. No, I don't.
The
So one
format is
second.
wrong. I'll just help you
I
out with this. Data dot for each.
I
So
don't
array
remember.
dot for each.
I don't remember the syntax. Sorry.
Remember this. So array dot for each, and then you give whatever is the value
Okay.
that I want to
Callback. It's take callback. Okay.
do. So in here I get, what do I get? Country,
Country.
and then country. What do I have to print? Country console.log.
Country dot name dot common.
Country dot name dot common.
Acha, I recall a Java for each loop, so that's why I had to confuse. Sorry.
Okay, so that should work. So remember these for each. What else is there? Map, filter, sort, and all these. These are
Yes.
pretty common questions. Okay, so this is one format that we can use, and with the data, I'm printing each country. Okay, you can see the list of all the common names for all the countries. This is how you typically use a fetch API. You put it in a response object. If that object, if that data that you got from this one is a JSON format, we convert it into a JSON, and then we use it in our application. Okay, so now you can use APIs in order to construct front ends. You know Vue, you know how to use fetch API. You can use all these variable names. You can use the images as well to construct some kind of country encyclopedia, something like that. Yes, any doubts with this regarding this? I hope. I think everyone slept. It's 11:30 already. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
that is all I had to deliver for this session. Any doubts you can ask?
Is there more topic in week 5, sir?
No, this is it.
That's all
That's
week 5.
yes.
And there's a more file in your document, like session file, and I thought.
Oh, this one first for I wanted to just whatever happens in the session.
Okay.
XML is I was just wondering if I wanted to show if actually if you don't use fetch API, what was the old way of doing things. So this was like the kind of way that we
Yes,
had
sir.
to do previously. If you don't use fetch API,
Please
and other
touch this topic in next session. It,
we can't do. We don't have that much time to
acha,
touch
okay.
this topic again.
Sir, my request is, sir,
Yes,
please start the session little bit early, sir.
this
Because
timing has been fixed by a lot of different things coming together. That's why we can't change the timing. That's the issue. When fixed by
8:30 to 10:30, 11:30, we are already.
yeah, 11:30 should not go today. It went because I teach very slow. That's the problem.
No, no, sir. We understand also. These are all topics very difficult. You made it very so clear. Okay, sir. Thanks.
Yes. Okay. And also play around with this code. We'll be adding it into the supplementary content. All the previous sessions notes also notes not notes the code we'll be adding, and please play around with this. And if it's not there by tomorrow, then you can write on your own as well, because it needs a little bit of your own practice in order to get comfortable with.
Add this XML file also, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Anything else? Any questions?
No, sir. Amazing session.
Excellent, sir. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you, everyone.
That's brilliant.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks.
Good night, sir.
Yeah. Good night,
Thank
everyone. Thank you. Thanks for joining.